Chapter 1296. Several dozen formation masters at the level of the Holy Emperor all stopped what they were doing above the ruins of Mercenary City. They all flew into the air and stared down sternly. Soon after, a space gate ripped open in the sky, forming a huge gate that was over 10 meters long. It was a world gate that opened from the miniature world. All the experts of the Holy Emperor who had been resting in the miniature world of Mercenary City emerged from the world gate. They moved extremely quickly, leaving blurs in the air. They moved forward silently, all of them using their spatial abilities with great familiarity. In just a few seconds, almost 1,000 people hovered above the ruins of Mercenary City. Almost all of them were Holy Emperor experts with only a few saint rulers. All of them stared down below as they were extremely stern. Powerful pulses of energy pulsed from the depths of Mercenary City. They were extremely unstable, so everyone could clearly sense them. "Oh no, they're already here." A clear, childlike voice rang out from the empty space. Xiao Ling silently appeared in the air as she stared down nervously. Her body was no longer illusionary. She seemed to be made of flesh and blood, no different from a real person. Many people already knew the identity of the barrier spirit. All the saint kings present immediately calmed down with Xiao Ling's appearance. Now, all of them knew that the barrier spirit was not as simple as they had imagined. Although the barrier around Mercenary City had vanished, the barrier spirit did not vanish because of that. At the same time, she had reached the second step of the origin realm, returnance. The fact that the Tian Yuan continent possessed a returnance expert was a great comfort to everyone. Because of Xiao Ling, Mercenary City had become the representative of the Tian Yuan continent, surpassing the 10 protector clans. Barrier Spirit, in ancient times, City Lord Mo Tianyun once entered the world of Forsaken Saints and committed a massacre. Now that the people from the world of Forsaken Saints have come to our Tian Yuan continent, they will definitely take revenge. Once the people from the world of Forsaken Saints pass through the tunnel, please assist us in eliminating the invaders. We have to keep them in the tunnel and make time for Great Elder Tianjian. A senior elder from the Holy Emperor respectfully bowed to Mercenary City. A venerable Saint King Elder of Mercenary City politely bowed to Xiao Ling. Xiao Ling was someone from the same generation as Mo Tianyun. At the same time, she was an Origin Realm expert who had surpassed Saint Emperor. She had silently protected Mercenary City for 1,000,000 years, so her status in the city was as great as that of an ancestor. "I will." Xiao Ling firmly nodded. She replied firmly, but her face was still filled with uncontainable nervousness. It's a pity that although the barrier spirit possesses unparalleled strength, her mind is still immature. She's still a 12-year-old girl, so she probably doesn't have much battle experience. If she encounters an opponent of the same level, she'll probably be at a disadvantage. The Grand Elder sighed inside, but there was nothing he could do. All the experts gathered there were old monsters who had lived for over 1,000 years. They could tell with a single glance that the barrier spirit was still a little girl. She was immature, so they could not help but look at each other. They also felt worried inside. They had no idea just how much of her strength at returnance could she use. Boom! At this moment, a terrifying pulse of energy appeared from the depths of the ground. It shot up into the sky as a thick pillar of energy, causing the ground below to sink. An extremely deep chasm appeared. 80% of the various formations on the ground had been destroyed before they could even shine. The pillar of energy was extremely powerful. Even the expressions of Holy Emperor experts would change. None of the Holy Emperor experts gathered in the sky dared to receive it head-on. They all dodged, but there were still 2 Holy Emperor experts who were a little slower. They were immediately struck by the pillar of energy and were reduced to pieces. Even their souls were destroyed. Be careful. This is the chaotic flow of energy in the tunnel. It came out with the people from the world of Forsaken Saints, Xiao Ling warned, but it was already too late. At the same time, several dozen tremendous presences emerged from the depths of the ground. The several dozen great perfection holy emperor experts from the world of forsaken saints shot into the sky like arrows. All of them seemed rather horrible, but they gave off a presence that was different from the Tian Yuan continent. As soon as the great perfection holy emperor experts from the world of forsaken saints flew into the sky, they discovered almost 1,000 people gathered in the surroundings. They immediately became slightly stunned. They could tell with a single glance that basically all the people gathered there were holy emperor experts. There were not even a lot of them at great perfection. They were insignificant figures in their world of forsaken saint. In reality, they had already been prepared to be killed by the origin realm experts of this world before they had entered the tunnel. They had even imagined that they would be surrounded by the densely packed holy emperor experts as soon as they left the tunnel. However, they had never thought that they would see so many holy emperor experts who were weaker than them. They did not even see a single holy emperor expert. Just when the leading great perfection holy emperor from the world of forsaken saints wanted to say something, someone called out from the crowd, "They're all holy emperor experts at great perfection. They must be the vanguard to scout us out. Don't let them leave alive. Kill them." Almost 1,000 experts from the Tian Yuan continent struck out at the same time. Various powerful attacks and Saint-tier battle skills were used at the same time, striking the great perfection holy emperor experts from the world of forsaken saints mercilessly. The great perfection experts from the world of forsaken saints all dodged, but the attacks from the Tian Yuan continent were just too concentrated. In just a single clash, half of them were injured while several of them died on the spot. "Let's leave." The great perfection holy emperor from the world of forsaken saints all called out. They took out the jade the Spirit King had given them and wanted to use the spatial force within to flee. However, at this moment Xiao Ling struck out. With a gentle wave of her hand, a white light immediately appeared, quickly sweeping toward the group of people from the world of forsaken saints. Chapter 1297. The battle that erupted above Mercenary City ended even more quickly. It settled down in the blink of an eye. The several dozen great perfection holy emperor from the world of forsaken saints had left behind over 30 corpses. Only a little more and they would have been wiped out. On the human side, only 2 holy emperors had been accidentally struck by the streams of energy that surged out from the tunnel, killing them off. The clash this time finally allowed the people who had never seen an Origin Realm expert before to witness the terror of an Origin Realm expert. Just a simple wave of the barrier spirit's hand was enough to cause over 20 holy emperors' bodies to explode. They died without a complete corpse. Just how terrifying was that? Immediately, everyone's gazes toward Xiao Ling changed. They were filled with deep fear. In this age where there were very few holy emperors, great perfection holy emperor was an existence that stood at the apex of the pyramid. They were one of the few supreme experts in the world, yet they were as fragile as tofu before the barrier spirit. This was an extremely great shock to everyone present. At the same time, everyone realized that although the barrier spirit still had the temperament of a little girl, she did not show any mercy when she fought. She was not afraid of killing. The Grand Elder of Mercenary City shifted his gaze away from Xiao Ling with great difficulty. He sucked in a deep breath and slowly calmed himself down. Afterward, he looked around and said with a deep voice, "That brother was right. Since the world of forsaken saints has Origin Realm experts, their strength is definitely not limited to this. The group of holy emperors at great perfection that came from the world of forsaken saints is probably just their vanguard. They've come to understand the strength of our Tian Yuan continent. Once they understand our strength, they'll launch a large-scale attack. As a result, we can't let the great perfection holy emperor leave the Tian Yuan continent alive. We have to kill them no matter what the price is." The Grand Elder is correct. If we let them go back, the world of forsaken saints will learn of our strength. If they learn that we're so weak, they definitely won't be afraid and will launch a large-scale invasion. As a result, we can't let the scouts from the world of Forsaken Saints live. Only by killing them can we prevent our strength from being exposed. The world of Forsaken Saints definitely won't dare to act recklessly before they learn of our strength, the Grand Elder said with a deep sigh. A holy emperor added as soon as the Grand Elder finished speaking. He was a great elder of the Protector clans and was also a holy emperor at great perfection. There's no time to lose. Please ask the people of the 10 Protector clans to use a secret technique to search the entire Tian Yuan continent and find traces of those people. Third Elder, immediately send people to notify the 100 races, magical beasts, and sea race that a holy emperor at great perfection has escaped from the world of Forsaken Saints and is extremely likely to enter their territories. Tell them to pay attention. I think the people of the 3 races will believe the truth of this matter once they see the experts from the world of Forsaken Saints, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City said sternly as if he was a commander giving orders. Although many people from the Protector clans were displeased, none of them dared to show it. They all followed the Grand Elder's orders and used an ancient secret technique to search the entire Tian Yuan continent. Although Mercenary City had been destroyed, its strength had increased instead of decreasing. Now that an Origin Realm expert had appeared, just Tianjin alone was enough to suffocate them, let alone the barrier spirit. Under the secret technique of the Protector clans, the experts from the world of Forsaken Saints on the Tian Yuan continent were unable to hide at all. They were all found and immediately, a few holy emperor at great perfection formed a hunting party to hunt them down. At the same time, the emperor armaments of the Protector clans were all moved over. Other than the Tyrant's Blade School, the emperor armaments of the other 9 Protector clans all arrived in Mercenary City. The emperor armaments all took different forms. They were a blade, a sword, a spear, a stab, a hammer, and a horsetail whisk. The horsetail whisk was the emperor armament of the Pure Heart Pavilion. However, although they all took different forms, they were all extraordinarily powerful. A holy emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints stumbled out of a barren mountain range on the Tian Yuan continent. He quickly glanced around and only let out a sigh of relief when he discovered that there was no one there. He said, "I've finally made it out. Strange, why aren't there any holy emperors here?" The holy emperor at great perfection was filled with doubt when he thought back to what he had just seen. He knew that there were Origin Realm experts in this world, but he also knew that if they did not want to expose themselves, he would not be able to sense them even if they stood right in front of him. As a result, he mainly observed the Holy Emperor. Suddenly, the Holy Emperor at great perfection became stunned. He suddenly raised his head to look at the sky and became surprised. A while later, he involuntarily exclaimed, "There's actually no origin energy here, and the energy of the world is even thinner than our world of Forsaken Saints. I know now. I finally know why I haven't seen any Holy Emperor. Becoming a Holy Emperor in an environment like this is extremely difficult." The Holy Emperor immediately became overjoyed when he realized this. Such strength was nothing before his world of Forsaken Saints. Our Sacred Hall only needs to send a small group of Holy Emperors to conquer this world. Although there's no origin energy here and the energy of the world is thin, the environment here is much more beautiful than our world of Forsaken Saints, the Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints excitedly said. At this moment, a space gate rapidly ripped open 100 meters away. 3 Holy Emperor at great perfection stepped out side by side as they coldly stared at the Holy Emperor. The expression of the Holy Emperor at great perfection changed drastically. He immediately fled into the distance without saying anything else. After him, the 3 Saint Kings at great perfection immediately chased after him. They were both at great perfection, but the great perfection expert from the world of Forsaken Saints had left behind a part of his soul in the Soul Jade, so his strength was drastically reduced. As a result, He was no longer as powerful as the peak experts of the Tian Yuan continent. The great perfection expert from the world of Forsaken Saints was caught up very quickly. After an intense battle, the great perfection expert from the world of Forsaken Saints was defeated and killed off. This happened many times on the Tian Yuan continent. The fleeing Holy Emperor at great perfection from the world of Forsaken Saints were chased by the experts of the Tian Yuan continent until they had nowhere to run. In the end, they were all wiped out, and only one of them was left alive, who was taken to Mercenary City. However, they could only clean up this region of the Tian Yuan continent. The human saint kings on the Tian Yuan continent were powerless to deal with the experts who had fled to other parts of the continent. An expert from the world of Forsaken Saints had been transported to the Arctic tundra by the Space Force within the Soul Jade. As soon as he fell out, he immediately shivered. The temperature there was so low that even he, a holy emperor at great perfection, struggled to endure it. Chapter 1298. This was a vast expanse of yellow sand. As far as the eye could see, the yellow sand was like a sea, connecting the heavens and the earth. It was completely barren, without the slightest bit of life to speak of. The sun shone brightly in the blue sky, and the high temperature baked the yellow sand until it was boiling hot. The heavens and the earth were like a large furnace. At this moment, the space above a mountain of yellow sand began to ripple. Immediately, a middle-aged man fell out of space. He was in a horrible state, and he gave off an aura that was completely different from the surroundings. "I've finally made it out." The middle-aged man glanced around and immediately exhaled deeply. He was one of the several dozen great perfection Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saint. "I need to hide carefully in the next few days. I can't be exposed. I have to gather all the information here and report it to the Spirit King," thought the middle-aged man. As soon as he thought of the Spirit King, his eyes immediately became filled with undisguised admiration and respect. At this moment, the sand several kilometers away began to churn violently. A huge rock giant rose up from the ground. It seemed like it had been hiding there for a long time. Suddenly, it stood up, causing it to grow taller and taller. It only stopped after reaching a height of 100 meters. An earthen yellow light shone around it as it gave off a tremendous presence. The Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints stared at the rock giant that seemed to have grown out of the ground in a daze. He was greatly shocked because he had never sensed that there was a rock giant at great perfection hiding nearby. The rock giant seemed to be completely composed of large rocks that were tightly connected. It did not have any flesh or blood, but it gave off a tremendous presence of life. Its facial features were distinct and its eyes shone brightly. It stared at the Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints without blinking at all. Surprise and doubt filled its eyes. A while later, the rock giant spoke in human tongue. It said with a deep, muffled voice, "You're not one of the 100 races. You're not a human, nor are you a magical beast, nor are you a sea race. You're not a person of our world." With that, the rock giant's presence skyrocketed. He took a step forward, and the ground shook with each step. He aggressively approached the Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saint. The Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints was stern. He did not want to clash with the rock giant. He immediately ripped open a space gate in an attempt to flee. He could already sense that the rock giant was an expert at the same level of cultivation as him. They were both at the great perfection of the Holy Emperor. If he was in peak condition, he would obviously choose to fight the rock giant, but he had left behind a portion of his soul in the world of Forsaken Saints before exhausting himself through the tunnel. His strength had plummeted, so he was no longer the rock giant's opponent. The stone giant in the distance attacked from afar, and the yellow sand below the spatial gate immediately flew up. In the blink of an eye, the sand condensed into stone pillars, emitting powerful energy fluctuations as they shot into the sky at lightning speed. Boom! The stone pillars pulsed with terrifying energy, and exploded as soon as they approached the spatial gate. The Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints did not even have the time to stop them. The terrifying energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing space to distort. The spatial gate that the Holy Emperor had constructed collapsed before it could even form. The Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints was very decisive. Seeing how he could not escape through the spatial gate, he switched to flight. He fused with the surrounding space and used spatial force to quickly flee, covering over 10 kilometers in a single instant. He knew that he could not remain here for long. More experts would arrive very soon. The rock giant did not pursue him. He crouched down with great difficulty and directly stabbed his right arm into the sand below. Several dozen kilometers away, the Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints immediately rejoiced inside when he saw that the rock giant did not pursue him. However, at this moment, a stone hand several dozen meters long suddenly emerged from the sand. It flickered with a yellow light and struck toward him with a tremendous and heavy energy. Caught off guard, the Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints was struck by the stone hand. He vomited a mouthful of blood and was immediately blown away. However, he stabilized himself very soon. He avoided the rock giant and avoided it, flying off in another direction. The entire land is my power. You can't escape. The stone giant's deep voice clearly rang out from several dozen kilometers away. Afterward, his left arm stabbed into the sand as well. Just when the Holy Emperor had fled several dozen kilometers away, he was blocked by the rock giant's left arm that had suddenly emerged from the sand. He was injured once again, and his injuries were even heavier. The rock giant's two arms seemed to be able to ignore the limits of distance. They could be extended no matter how far away the enemy was, as if he knew that it was impossible for him to escape from the rock giant at such a height. The expert from the world of forsaken saints charged into the sky. He refused to believe that the rock giant's arms could stop him from flying 10,000 meters in the air. However, as soon as he took to the air, a green streak of light shot down from even higher up with unbelievable speed. It was a 3-meter-long green arrow that was completely condensed from energy. It had completely locked onto the Holy Emperor's presence, and was filled with cold, killing intent. It was unavoidable. Spurt. The arrow pierced the expert's chest, immediately causing him to wail out in pain. His face immediately became rather haggard, as if he was ill. Not only had the green arrow heavily injured him, but it had also taken away a portion of his vitality. A woman shrouded in green light slowly descended from the sky. She didn't look very old, only around 20 years old. She wore a long dress, and her green hair draped over her shoulders. She was devastatingly beautiful, but her eyes were filled with coldness. Her expression was holy, and there was a sense of majesty exuding from her body. However, a pair of 3-meter-long wings slowly flapped on her back. The green light was mixed with an azure light. Her feathers were soft and extremely pretty. She was an elf. She wielded a simple and exquisite wooden bow. It was covered in simple inscriptions, but there were no arrows. The Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints slammed into the sand below and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. As soon as he stood up, the space in the sky began to pulse unstably. 4 space gates opened at the same time and 4 experts walked out. They surrounded the Holy Emperor from all 4 directions. Tremendous presences revolved around the 4 of them. They were all at great perfection of the Holy Emperor. The one standing in the east was a burly man who was more than 3 meters tall. He was carrying a mace that was even longer than he was tall. His upper body was bare, and he wore a tight pair of shorts. The muscles on his body were bulging, giving people a strong visual impact. He was an expert of the berserk warriors of the 100 races. His battle prowess was extremely great, and after going berserk, his battle prowess would skyrocket. He would be invincible among those of the same level. Some of the more talented ones could even fight above their level of cultivation. It was rumored that the bloodline of the Berserk warriors was the closest to that of the war gods. The person in the west was a short old man. He was sturdy and tanned. His arms were extremely thick and possessed explosive strength. The old man was an expert of the dwarves. Chapter 1299. Standing on the south side was a burly man who was more than 2 meters tall. His body was covered with thick black hair, and he was only wearing a pair of shorts. The burly man looked like both a human and a wolf. He had the features of a human, but at the same time, he had the characteristics of a wolf. His 5 slender fingers were vigorous and powerful. He was an expert of the werewolves of the 100 races. They were existences between wolves and humans. They were not humans, nor were they magical beasts. Their battle prowess was very powerful, no weaker than magical beasts. Very few humans of the same level of strength were their opponent. They were one of the most powerful races among the 100 races. To the north stood a skinny old woman. She had a hunchback and a bun on her head. She seemed extremely old, but 2 balls of green flames leapt about in her eyes. They were like will-o'-the-wisps, filled with a demonic aura. The old woman was an expert of the fire demons. She was born with the ability to control fire, but the flames she controlled were not regular flames. Instead, they were green demonic flames. These flames did not have any temperature and could not burn anything. They could only burn away life force. Boom, boom, boom. The earth trembled rhythmically as the stone giant in the distance strode towards them. Every step he took covered a distance of several kilometers. His speed was extremely fast. A violent wind pressure descended from the sky. The elven expert shot down as a green streak of light with her wooden bow. She hovered 10 meters above the ground. The 6 experts of the 100 races studied the Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saint. They were all curious before frowning. As expected, this person is not from our world. He is from another world. The aura he exudes is not from our world. Could it be that the news brought by the messenger of the human race is true? The elf asked in a deep voice. His face was solemn. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. I think we should take this person back to the War God Hall immediately, said the old woman from the fire demons. Her voice was hoarse and extremely unpleasant. The dwarf chuckled. We received a message from the humans not long ago. They said that someone from another world has come and told us to be prepared. I thought it would be some impressive expert, so I even brought the Heaven's Guard with me. In the end, it's just a holy emperor at great perfection. If we had known earlier, we wouldn't have needed to muster so many people. Let's go back to the War God Hall first. With that, the dwarf grabbed the Holy Emperor and placed him on his shoulder before leaving through a space gate with the elves, berserkers, fire demons, and werewolves. They only left behind a 100-meter-tall rock giant. At the center of the wasteland continent, on the War God Mountain, there was a majestic divine hall. It was like a primordial beast, quietly creeping on the ground. It gave off an invisible pressure. The Divine Hall was the spiritual leader of the 100 races, as well as the highest authority of the 100 races. It was where their faith lay, the War God Hall. Several dozen experts of the 100 races gathered in the majestic War God Hall. All of them were at least at the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. They possessed important statuses in the War God Hall. They stood in a circle. At the center was the captured Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saint. He lay on the ground like a pile of mud. He was haggard. Not only was he heavily injured, but he had also been restrained by a mysterious secret technique, reducing him to the level of an ordinary person despite his great strength. The 6 Holy Emperor at great perfection had all gathered near the expert from the world of Forsaken Saints. The elves, fire demons, 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 and the 100-meter-tall rock giant had all gathered there. However, the rock giant had shrunk in size. Although his body was still composed of 10 pieces, he had shrunk to 3 meters tall. This person's presence is extremely strange. It really doesn't belong to our world. Has he really come from the world of forsaken saints? Is what the human envoy said true? That the world of forsaken saints really does exist? So what if the world of forsaken saints really does exist? They can't be that powerful. The Tian-Yuan continent is more than enough to deal with them. They just don't want to suffer heavy losses, which is why they want to exaggerate and make the world of forsaken saints seem so powerful so that we, the 100 races, the magical beasts, and the sea race can assist them. The experts of the War God Hall discussed the Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints. They came up with various theories, but after personally witnessing the Holy Emperor, they finally believed in the world of forsaken saints' existence. The Holy Emperor glanced around. He was a holy emperor at great perfection, so he could clearly see the strength of everyone present. The strongest were only holy emperors at great perfection, and there were even a few who were at great perfection. Most of them were below great perfection. There was not a single saint emperor, which immediately caused a sliver of mockery to appear in his eyes. He said, "I never thought that you'd be so weak, not even having a single saint emperor. You probably don't have any origin realm experts either. However, this world lacks origin energy and the energy of the world is so thin, so it makes sense that you haven't given birth to saint emperors. Our sacred hall only needs a single saint emperor to flatten such a weak force." "What's he saying?" An expert of the 100 races asked in confusion. He did not understand what the Holy Emperor was saying at all. "This is the language of the world of forsaken saints. Let's communicate with his soul," the elf said with a clear voice. Afterward, all the experts present released their souls and began to communicate with the Holy Emperor. Very soon, the expressions of all the experts of the 100 races drastically changed. The dwarf almost leapt up. He cried out, "What did you say? A single Holy Emperor's group? Holy Emperors can form groups? Just how many Holy Emperors do you have?" The Holy Emperor's disdain became even heavier. He coldly said, "We have countless Holy Emperors. Once the space tunnel stabilizes, the 500 Holy Emperors gathered on the world mountains will all come. We'll only need a single day to flatten your world." "What? 500 Holy Emperors? Impossible. How can you have so many Holy Emperors? It's uncountable. You're probably exaggerating." The experts of the 100 races were greatly shocked. Shock filled their eyes. The strength of the world of forsaken saints filled them with dread. The Holy Emperor possessed countless experts. 500 Holy Emperors had already come through the space tunnel. Even in ancient times, it would have been difficult to stop them. Not to mention, the 4 races of this world were nowhere near as powerful as they were in ancient times. "I've already investigated the strength of this world. My mission is complete. Before long, the army of my world of forsaken saints will descend. We will meet again." The Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints sneered before using a secret technique to shatter his own soul. He collapsed on the ground, dead. Chapter 1300. No one could stop the Holy Emperor from the world of forsaken saints from committing suicide. The experts of the 100 races had never thought that a Holy Emperor at great perfection would commit suicide in such a straightforward manner. The atmosphere in the War God Hall became extremely heavy. Several dozen experts of the 100 races stood there sternly. The news they had received from the Saint King had almost suffocated them. They had all been deeply shocked by the experts from the world of forsaken saints. The world of forsaken saints will launch a large-scale invasion soon. Looks like they want to conquer our world. The humans probably won't be the only ones affected. The magical beasts, the 100 races, and even the sea race won't be able to remain unaffected. What should we do now? A white-haired old man asked after quite a while. He was very solemn. He was a hall elder of the War God Hall, the Holy Emperor at great perfection. If what this person from the world of forsaken saints said is true, the strength of the world of forsaken saints is not something any of us can fend off. They possess so many holy emperors. Even if all the experts of our 4 races work together, we won't be their opponent, the old woman said. Her voice was hoarse, and her face was sunken. She was also a hall elder of the War God Hall. In my opinion, let's put aside the grievances between the humans and magical beasts for now and work together with the humans to deal with the threat of the world of Forsaken Saint. Otherwise, the 100 races will probably cease to exist in the near future, said a woman who seemed to be in her early 20s. The one who spoke was a woman who looked to be in her 20s. She was tall and slender, and her appearance was devastatingly beautiful. She naturally exuded a sacred and noble aura. She was a powerhouse of the elf clan. Although she looked young, she was actually thousands of years old. The several dozen holy emperors gathered in the War God Hall all fell silent. Their grievances with the magical beasts and humans ran deep, so it was indeed rather difficult for them to put aside their grievances and work together with the humans or magical beasts. However, the threat from the world of Forsaken Saints also suffocated them, making them extremely uneasy. Compared to the consequences of being wiped out, what's the big deal about enduring it? You've all heard what that person from the world of Forsaken Saints said. Once the world of Forsaken Saints comes to this world, there's an extremely high chance that our 100 races will be wiped out. I also suggest that we put aside our grievances with the humans and magical beasts for now and deal with the problem of the world of Forsaken Saints first. The one who spoke was an old man with a hunched back. His complexion was extremely old. He was also a perfect holy emperor and was close to the end of his life. At the same time, he was also the most senior person among all the temple elders and had a lot of prestige. The War God Temple was where the faith of the 100 races lay. At the same time, it was the holy power in the hearts of all the 100 races. At this moment, the dozens of holy emperor experts gathered here made up about a third of the 100 races. Moreover, a small half of them were at paragons and came from different races. I agree with Elder Ikeda and the White-Veiled Queen's suggestion. Let's put aside our grievances with the humans and magical beasts for now. A long while later, a hall elder finally expressed his opinion. With someone taking the lead, the matter became much smoother. Afterward, all the experts gathered there expressed their agreement. They all understood that the grievances of the past were nothing compared to the continuation of the 100 races. They could only put it aside for now. At the same time, the news that a group of people from the world of Forsaken Saints had fled the Tian Yuan continent reached the Beast God Hall as quickly as possible. It attracted the attention of all the experts of the Beast God Hall. In order to find the Holy Emperor who might have fled to the Beast God continent as quickly as possible, a large group of Class 8 magical beasts were mobilized. They searched for the Holy Emperor of the world of Forsaken Saints. Even the 3 holy emperors of the Beast God continent were alarmed. The presences of the Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints were completely different from the world they were in. Even if they were in a crowd, they would be as dazzling as a lantern in the darkness. They would be recognized very easily. Under the personal mobilization of the 3 holy emperor of the Beast God continent, the Holy Emperor of the world of Forsaken Saints who had fled to the Beast God continent were all found very quickly. Other than a few who were killed on the spot, the remaining survivors were all taken to the Beast God Hall for interrogation. However, the 3 Holy Emperor of the Beast God Hall had never thought that the captured Holy Emperor of the world of Forsaken Saints would die before they could even be interrogated. They did not receive any information at all. However, even with that being the case, the 3 Holy Emperor of the Beast God continent became extremely stern. This was because the world of Forsaken Saints really did exist, and it was extremely likely that they were as powerful as the human experts had said, possessing Origin Realm experts. The 3 Holy Emperor of the Beast God Hall gathered on the 98th floor. They all stared at the corpses of the foreign experts sternly. The Holy Emperor of the Pung clan, Sangqiong, said with a heavy voice, "This is no small matter. I'll go to the Tian Yuan continent immediately. With that, the holy emperor of the Peng clan, Songqiong, faded away. This was an afterimage he had left behind. His true body had already appeared several thousand kilometers away in a single instance. Even without using a space gate, he moved with unbelievable speed. Kaiser and Lankiros did not move. Their faces were still abnormally pale. The two of them had been injured by Shaoling in the past, and they still had not recovered. The empty space above Mercenary City on the Tian Yuan continent was currently filled with people. Ever since the group of Holy Emperor experts from the world of Forsaken Saints had arrived, they had not returned to the miniature world of Mercenary City. They all stood guard outside, paying close attention to the situation of the tunnel below. Violent streams of energy would spew out from the tunnel from time to time, so the depths of the tunnel were extremely dangerous. Even the Holy Emperor at great perfection could die if he came in contact with the energy, so the Holy Emperor did not dare to venture into the depths of the tunnel. They could only stand guard outside. It's been so long since the news has spread. I wonder how the sea race, the magical beasts, and the 100 races will react. Will they send reinforcements? This matter doesn't just affect the safety of our Tian Yuan continent. It's also a threat to the other 3 races. We have to persuade them no matter what. We humans are just far too weak. It's a pity that there are just far too few experts in this era. If we possessed the glory of the ancient times, we wouldn't need to fear the world of Forsaken Saints. Didn't you hear the barrier spirit say that the world of Forsaken Saints is far more powerful than we expected? Even in ancient times, we probably wouldn't have been able to stop their invasion with just our strength. In the past, City Lord Mo Tianyun actually entered the world of Forsaken Saints alone and killed so many of their experts. He even killed quite a few reciprocity experts who had surpassed the Holy Emperor. That's unbelievable. City Lord Mo Tianyun really is the greatest human expert after all. He's probably already at the peak of the Origin Realm. If only City Lord Mo Tianyun was still here. City Lord Mo Tianyun would probably be able to flatten the entire world of Forsaken Saints all by himself. We wouldn't have to wait here in fear. I wonder when Great Elder Tianjian will be able to refine the Divine Hall. All our hopes are on the Divine Hall now, everyone discussed. A holy emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints lay in the center with his eyes closed while the veiled heavenly enchantress sat beside him with her zither. The gazes of the surrounding holy emperors were filled with deep fear when they looked at the heavenly enchantress. At this moment, the space several kilometers away began to violently distort. A space gate rapidly formed and immediately, dense water elemental energy permeated the area. Chapter 1301. It's the experts of the sea race. Fantastic, the reinforcements of the sea race have come. Just as I expected, the first reinforcements are the experts of the sea race. In ancient times, the 100 races had very deep grievances with our Tian Yuan continent. Several years ago, the experts of the Beast God continent invaded our Tian Yuan continent as well, engaging in an intense battle with us. Only the sea race and our Tian Yuan continent have never interfered with each other. The sea race expert at the front is actually a holy emperor. Fantastic, we have another holy emperor now. With the arrival of the experts of the sea race, the human experts gathered there immediately fell into an uproar. All of them stood up in the air and stared at the experts of the sea race in joy. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. The sea race was a rather mysterious race to some of them. This was because the sea race was enveloped by a protective barrier, preventing holy emperors from entering. As a result, many holy emperors had only heard of the existence of the sea race and had never personally seen them. Even more gazes gathered on the woman at the very front who was enveloped by a layer of blue light. Their gazes were filled with undisguised respect. Although the woman did not give off any presence at all, many people could tell that she was a holy emperor. The Grand Elder of Mercenary City led a few holy emperor elders over in joy. Behind them were many other holy emperors, including important figures from the 10 protector clans and the various large organizations of the Tian Yuan continent. I am the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. I welcome the esteemed guests of the sea race to our world of humans on behalf of the Tian Yuan continent, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City said from afar. His voice was loud and clear. I am the Hall Master of the Hall Poseidon, Yadrium. Greetings, everyone, the Hall Master of the Hall Poseidon said nonchalantly as she bathed in blue light. So it's the esteemed Hall Master of the Hall Poseidon. Poseidon has traveled such a great distance to come here, so we have failed to welcome you. Please forgive us, Hall Master of the Hall Poseidon, the Grand Elder greeted politely. The Great Elder of Mercenary City said some polite words before glancing behind the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall. He was secretly shocked. The dozen or so experts behind the Hall Master all wore the same uniform, so he could tell with a single glance that they were all experts of the Sea Goddess Hall. However, what truly shocked the Grand Elder and the human Holy Emperor was that there were actually 4 Holy Emperor at great perfection among the experts of the sea race. The rest of them were basically at the 8th and 9th heavenly layer. Only 2 of them were at the 7th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. There was not a single person below the 7th heavenly layer. Although many of the human experts had never been to the sea race, they still had some understanding of the situation there. There were quite a few Holy Emperor experts among the sea race, but not all of them held positions in the Poseidon's Hall. Even with that being the case, the Hall of Poseidon could easily mobilize 4 Holy Emperor at great perfection and over a dozen experts at the 7th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. Such a powerful lineup was enough to rival the combined strength of several protector clans. At the same time, everyone understood that the Holy Emperor experts that Yadrium had brought with her were probably only the tip of the iceberg of the overall strength of the Hall Poseidon. This was because the overall strength of the sea race was far greater than the Tian Yuan continent. They had far more saint rulers and holy emperors than the Tian Yuan continent as well. There's no need to be so polite, Grand Elder. May I ask what the situation is with the world of forsaken saints? Yadrium gently asked. Blue light surged around her as dense water element permeated the surroundings. No one could see her true appearance while the experts of the hall silently followed behind her. The Grand Elder of Mercenary City quickly told Yadrium everything he knew about the world of forsaken saints without holding anything back. He emphasized that the world of forsaken saints possessed an extremely powerful origin realm expert that even the barrier spirit of Mercenary City could not deal with. Yadrium fell silent for a while. Only after quite a while did she say, I've already sensed the tunnel deep underground. The violent streams of energy are indeed extremely terrifying, and they flow from the world of forsaken saints to the Tian Yuan continent. It's indeed extremely easy for people from the world of forsaken saints to come over, but if people from the Tian Yuan continent want to go over, they'll have to go against the flow of energy. Even holy emperors will be in danger. Yadrium's voice was rather heavy. She then made her way toward the holy emperor that the experts of the Tian Yuan continent had captured. Only now did the heavenly enchantress open her eyes. She slowly stood up and calmly studied Yadrium. She was the only person who did not receive the Hall Master of the Hall Poseidon. Yadrium naturally noticed the heavenly enchantress as well. She carefully studied the heavenly enchantress, and a sliver of surprise appeared in her eyes. She was actually unable to see through the heavenly enchantress' strength. The heavenly enchantress seemed to be shrouded in mist in her eyes. She was hazy, unable to see through her. Yadrium was secretly surprised. This was the first time she had encountered something so strange. Even the other 2 holy emperors of the sea realm did not give her such a feeling. Yadrium glanced at the heavenly enchantress deeply before looking at the unconscious holy emperor at great perfection. Esteemed Hall Master of the Hall Poseidon, this expert from the world of forsaken saints has been captured by us. Originally, we wanted to learn about the world of Forsaken Saints through him, but we never thought that he would know a secret technique that could shatter his own soul. Fortunately, Mu-Er was able to control him in time with her zither and make him fall unconscious, the Grand Elder of Mercenary City explained to one side. A sliver of surprise flashed through Yadrium's eyes. She said, "She actually managed to control a holy emperor at great perfection so easily. Admirable, admirable. Even the holy emperor doesn't possess such a method." Hao Wu hid in the crowd with a gloomy face. His emotions were mixed. He was indeed extremely surprised by his daughter's great accomplishments. He had even begun to doubt whether the cold and arrogant heavenly enchantress was his daughter. This was because his daughter's strength had increased at an astonishing rate in the past few years. Hao Wu had already been there for several days. He had discovered his daughter's existence long ago, but he knew that his daughter still held a very deep grudge against him. She had never forgiven him as her father, so Hao Wu had wanted to meet his daughter many times over the past few days, but he did not do so in the end. He knew that his daughter had discovered his existence long ago with her current strength, but she continued to ignore him. She even treated him like he was invisible, which made Hao Wu's heart ache. Chapter 1302. Yadrium's gaze paused on the Holy Emperor for a while. She asked, "May I ask if you've learned anything from this person? And just how powerful is the world of Forsaken Saints? Just how great is the disparity between us and them?" The Grand Elder of Mercenary City said, "Esteemed Hall Master of Hall Poseidon, this person from the world of Forsaken Saints almost destroyed his own soul. Although Shangguan Mu-Er managed to stop him in time, we only have one chance to ask him. We'll need Shangguan Mu-Er to explain the exact details." Yadrium immediately looked at Shangguan Mu. Out of all the human experts, Shangguan Mu-Er was the only one she truly paid attention to. She did not even pay any attention to the Path Lord of Carnal Desires who hid in the shadows. Shangguan Mu-Er glanced past the Holy Emperor and said indifferently and coldly, "This person from the world of Forsaken Saints has already used a secret technique to destroy his own soul. Although I've controlled his soul with my zither and made him fall asleep, his soul will continue to collapse once he wakes up. No one will be able to stop it. Even I can only slow down the rate at which his soul disperses with my zither. As a result, we only have one chance to ask him. It's very short, so we might not be able to get all the information about the world of Forsaken Saints from him. Right now, we need to wait for the experts of the 4 races to gather before we ask him, just in case someone says that we're exaggerating about the strength of the world of Forsaken Saints. If that's the case, let's wait for the experts of the magical beasts and the 100 races," Yadrium said gently. Yadrium gently said before falling silent. She stood there quietly with the other experts of the sea race. The place fell silent. Ever since the Hall Master of Hall Poseidon had arrived, the human experts gathered there all fell silent. They no longer whispered to each other. The Holy Emperor of the Protector clans and a few powerful ancient clans all glanced at the experts of the sea race. The sea race was an extremely powerful race. They all wanted to befriend the experts of Hall Poseidon. If they relied on the sea race, the status of their clans would definitely increase drastically. However, when they saw the indifferent expression of the oceanic species powerhouse, many of them retreated in the face of difficulties. "Esteemed Hall Master Poseidon, have the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall sent any reinforcements?" the Grand Elder of Mercenary City asked a while later. He knew that the 3 holy emperors of the sea race were an extremely powerful force. If all 3 holy emperors of the sea race had come, they would have even more confidence in fending off the world of Forsaken Saints. "I've already contacted the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall. I can't control whether they come or not," said Yadrium. At this moment, the space in the distance pulsed violently. Immediately, all the human experts gathered above Mercenary City looked over. The pulsing space attracted the attention of many people. At this moment, as long as the space pulsed, many people would become alarmed because it meant that more experts had come to reinforce them. As the space gate formed, a white-robed, ruddy old man walked out. He was one of the 3 holy emperors of the beast god continent, Sangcheong. Behind Sangcheong were over a dozen burly men. They were all burly, Class 8 magical beasts in human form. However, only 2 of them had reached great perfection as holy emperor. Even the others were slightly weaker than the experts of the sea race. So it's the Pring Emperor. I am the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. The Grand Elder immediately went up to greet the Pring Emperor with a wide smile. Mercenary City had basically become the leader of the Tian Yuan continent now, so he obviously had to greet them as the Grand Elder. Although there had been some conflict between the Tian Yuan continent and the Beast God continent in the past, the threat of the world of Forsaken Saints was greater than anything else. They needed to put aside their grievances. Just as Sangcheong arrived, another space gate rapidly formed nearby. This space gate was much larger than the Oceanic tribes and the Orc tribes. It was 10 meters wide and 20 meters tall. Immediately, a boundless aura radiated from it. It was like a flash flood, and its momentum was shocking. It caused the winds to surge and clouds to surge. Silhouettes of people came out of the spatial gate one after another. They all had different appearances. There were handsome elves with wings on their backs, short but very strong dwarves, burly, dark-skinned berserk warriors, and stone golems that seemed to be completely made of stone. Many human experts smiled happily when they saw the arrival of these people. Now that all 4 races had gathered, the pressure they faced on the Tian Yuan continent had decreased by a lot. I never thought that the 100 races would actually send so many people, a human exclaimed. There were quite a few people from the 100 races this time. There were over 200 holy emperor experts, and many of them had reached great perfection. This was basically a third or even half of the 100 races' strength. Looks like the 100 races want to throw their lives on the line against the world of Forsaken Saint. They've actually brought out everything they have, a protector of the Protector clan side. A Grand Elder of a Protector family exclaimed. Many of them could sense the ripples of power from the experts of the 100 races, and there was more than one of them. Do the 100 races want to throw their lives on the line against the world of Forsaken Saints? Or do they want to use this opportunity to invade our Tian Yuan continent? They've actually brought so many forbidden artifacts. These are the treasures of their clans, a human expert muttered. All of them felt that the 100 races were throwing their lives on the line this time. They were nowhere near as shrewd as the sea race and the magical beast. They had only sent over a dozen people to scout the situation. They would only send reinforcements after personally witnessing the strength of the world of Forsaken Saint. The Grand Elder of Mercenary City hurriedly went up to greet them warmly. He had completely forgotten that the 100 races had attacked Mercenary City not long ago. The Hall Elders at the Great Perfection of the 100 races all returned the greeting to the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, but many of them looked at the magical beasts with uncontainable anger. The true enemy of the 100 races was not the Tian Yuan continent but the Beast God continent. This was because the Beast God continent had been occupied by the 100 races in ancient times. Later on, the winged tiger led the magical beasts to attack the continent, driving the 100 races out. This was why the 100 races had invaded the Tian Yuan continent. As a result, although the humans and the 100 races had engaged in an earth-shaking war in ancient times, resulting in heavy casualties on both sides, the 100 races' hatred for the Tian Yuan continent was not as deep as imagined. After all, they were the ones who had invaded the Tian Yuan continent first. However, the experts of the 100 races clearly understood that the matter of the world of Forsaken Saints was urgent and that it was not the time to fuss over the grievances between different races. As a result, they all glared at the magical beasts furiously, but no conflict erupted. Chapter 1303. At that moment, the atmosphere became rather heavy due to the arrival of the people from the 100 races and magical beasts. Even the human experts sensed it, but none of them said anything. They all stared at the experts from the 100 races and magical beasts. Since the people of the 4 races are all here, let's wake up the person from the world of Forsaken Saints and learn about the strength of the world of Forsaken Saints from him, Poseidon said at this moment, breaking the heavy atmosphere. Esteemed Hall Master Poseidon is right. The matter of the world of Forsaken Saints is urgent, so please take action, Heavenly Enchantress, said the Pavilion Master of the Pure Heart Pavilion. Shangguan Mu, I'll be troubling you with this matter because only you have the ability out of all of us, said the Grand Elder of the mercenary group. Although he knew that the Heavenly Enchantress was far stronger than him, he still directly referred to her by her name. This was because the elders of Mercenary City were acquainted with the Heavenly Enchantress long ago. They were all her seniors. Whether it was the magical beasts or the 100 races, all of them shifted their attention when the world of Forsaken Saints was mentioned. They all stared at the Holy Emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints. Quite a few of them also stared at the Heavenly Enchantress for a while. They could not help but become stunned. Although the Heavenly Enchantress wore a veil and her face could not be seen, it was unable to hide her beauty. However, without any exception, no one could tell the Heavenly Enchantress' strength. The experts of the 100 races did not say anything. They had captured a holy emperor from the world of Forsaken Saints on the Wasteland continent and had obtained some shocking information from him. However, they did not plan on announcing this information right now. They wanted to see if the information they had obtained from the Holy Emperor from the Tian Yuan continent was the same as what they knew. The Heavenly Enchantress nodded at the Grand Elder of Mercenary City before holding her zither with one hand. Her slender fingers gently stroked the strings, and immediately, a gentle, pleasant sound rang out. The sound of the zither was extremely beautiful, like the music of immortals. It was filled with a boundless charm, intoxicating and soul-stealing. All the experts of the 4 races gathered there were heavily affected by the sound of the zither. They could not help but fall into a trance due to the sound of the zither. However, they all returned to their senses in the next moment. As soon as they thought about what had just happened, they immediately became covered in cold sweat. The humans remained relatively calm. They had already witnessed just how terrifying the Heavenly Enchantress' strength was. However, the experts of the sea race, the 100 races, and the magical beasts were all astounded. Their gazes toward the Heavenly Enchantress were filled with shock, and some of them even felt fear. There were hall elders among them who were at great perfection of the Holy Emperor. Just how terrifying was the sound of the zither if even experts like that were affected by it. They also knew that the sound of the zither was not targeted at them, or none of them would have been able to endure it. The Holy Emperor of the Pung clan, Sangqiong, suddenly snapped open his eyes. He stared at the Heavenly Enchantress in some disbelief as a sliver of shock appeared in his eyes. Even the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall, Yadrium, stared at the Heavenly Enchantress back again. She stared at her deeply. This was because even the Holy Emperor of the Magical Beasts and the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall, Yadrium, had lost control of their souls. Who is this person? Her mastery of soul attacks is actually so great. Why have I never heard of her before? Sangqiong thought inside as a sliver of fear appeared in his eyes. Magical beasts were more powerful than humans in battle, but they also had a weakness, which was that their souls were weaker than humans. All experts skilled in soul attacks were people that magical beasts feared the most. The Holy Emperor of the world of Forsaken Saints finally awakened slowly under the influence of the Heavenly Enchantress Zither. However, his eyes were no longer clear. Instead, they had become empty. His soul had been completely controlled by the terrifying sound of the zither. As soon as the expert from the world of Forsaken Saints awakened, his soul rapidly collapsed. He had already used a secret technique to destroy his own soul, so he could only stop the collapse of his soul when he fell unconscious. Once he woke up, no one present could stop his soul from collapsing. Even the heavenly enchantress could only slow down the rate at which his soul was collapsing, but she could not last for very long. The heavenly enchantress asked many questions about the world of forsaken saints. The holy emperor of the world of forsaken saints told her everything he knew, answering all of her questions. All the experts of the 4 races present heard him. A few seconds later, the holy emperor's soul completely collapsed. His body was reduced to an icy cold state. However, the heavenly enchantress managed to learn a lot from the holy emperor in that short amount of time. She gained an even more precise understanding of the world of forsaken saints' strength. Saint rulers and holy emperors were as numerous as ants. The holy emperor possessed countless experts. Other than that, there were over 40 origin realm experts. 33 of them were at receival, 8 were at returnance, and there was an even more terrifying spirit king. The Saint King's corpse fell from the sky while the large group of people in the air fell silent. All of them had become speechless from shock. All of them were extremely stern, and some of them had even become sheet white, devoid of any blood. The strength of the world of forsaken saints had completely exceeded what they had imagined. It was a world that they could not contend against. Even in ancient times, the 4 groups would not be the world of forsaken saints' opponent even if they worked together. In ancient times, there were 4 supreme experts as well as many holy emperors. However, even if the 4 races were added together, the number of holy emperors was innumerable. The strength of the world of forsaken saints had reached an extremely terrifying level compared to the humans, magical beasts, sea race, and 100 races. We can't let the people from the world of forsaken saints come. We have to stop them no matter what the price is, the Grand Elder said in a heavy voice. If the world of forsaken saints was so powerful, it would be a disaster for them if they came to the Tian Yuan continent. Chapter 1304. After learning the exact strength of the world of forsaken saints, the 4 races treated it as an apocalypse. The world of forsaken saints was just too powerful. Once the foreign experts arrived on the Tian Yuan continent, the 4 races would be treated as slaves even if they were not wiped out. The esteemed Hall elders of the War God Hall immediately returned to the wasteland continent and began to gather all the forces of the 100 races. The holy emperor of the Pung clan, Songqiong, left behind the magical beasts and personally hurried back to the Beast God Hall. He told the other 2 holy emperor of the magical beasts everything he knew as soon as possible. The hall master of the Poseidon Hall, Yadrium, sent out a few messages as well. She began to gather the forces of the Poseidon Hall and sent another message to the hall master of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the hall master of Dragon God Temple. Before long, over 200 holy emperor experts of the 100 races arrived on the Tian Yuan continent through a space gate. In order to fend off the invasion of the foreign world, the 100 races had mobilized 2/3 of their forces. A large group of magical beasts hurried over from the Beast God continent as well. They were all Class 8 magical beasts, numbering over 600. Even Lankiros and Kaiser had come. There were far more magical beasts than the 100 races. The Beast God continent was more powerful than the 100 races and the Tian Yuan continent. Not only were there holy emperor experts, but even the holy emperor and saint rulers were the same. The Class 8 magical beasts that had hurried over from the Beast God continent probably only amounted to half of the total number of magical beasts on the continent. Even the sea race had sent over 400 holy emperor experts. They were all experts from the territory of the Poseidon Hall. There was not a single person from the Heaven's Spirit Hall or the Serpent God Hall. With the support of the 100 races, magical beasts, and sea race, the strength of the Tian Yuan continent rapidly increased as well. Over 2,000 holy emperor experts had gathered in Mercenary City now, and there were 5 holy emperor experts. Only the Hall Master of the Heaven's Spirit Hall, the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple, and the old sect master of the Bloodsword sect, Houston, were not present. The Bloodsword sect was searching for Houston with everything they had, but no matter what they did, they could not find any traces of Houston. It was as if Houston had suddenly vanished from the Tian-Yuan continent. The vice-sect master of the Bloodsword sect, Jiang Wang, was secretly worried as well. Now that something so major had happened on the Tian-Yuan continent, the two most important people of the Bloodsword sect were not present. Not only had the old sect master Houston vanished, but even the current sect master, Jianchen, could not be contacted either. Kaiser and Lankiros stood there with rather pale faces. Everyone present could sense that their presences were rather unstable. Clearly they were injured. Kaiser glanced past Xiaoling in some fear. His lips moved slightly as if he wanted to say something, but he said nothing in the end. Lankiros was the same. After a moment of hesitation, he said to the Grand Elder of Mercenary City, "The Holy Emperor's battle prowess is extremely important to fend off the invasion of the world of Forsaken Saints. We need to return to our peak condition before the world of Forsaken Saints appears again, or we won't be of much use. It's just that a strand of origin energy is wreaking havoc in our bodies right now, so we need to use half of our energy to suppress it. We probably won't be able to use even 50% of our strength." The Grand Elder glanced past Kaiser and Lankiros and smiled mysteriously. He knew that the two holy emperors had once been injured by the barrier spirit of Mercenary City and had yet to recover. He only wanted Xiaoling to remove the remnant origin energy in their bodies, but he was too embarrassed to make it too obvious. The Grand Elder politely bowed to Xiaoling, who hovered in the air, and said, "Esteemed barrier spirit, can you remove the origin energy from the two seniors so that they can return to their peak condition and strengthen our defenses?" Xiaoling frowned and stared at the two holy emperors with some dissatisfaction. She said angrily, "Humph, who asked you to bully Big Brother? If it weren't for the fact that the bad people from the world of Forsaken Saints were coming this time, Xiaoling wouldn't have bothered with you at all." With that, Xiaoling waved her hand and the strand of origin energy within Kaiser and Lankiros flew out. They immediately flew out of their bodies, and were taken back by Xiaoling. Kaiser and Lankiros immediately felt their bodies lighten. The strand of origin energy that had left them helpless had finally left their bodies. The two of them immediately rejoiced. Without any hesitation, they immediately sat down and began to heal. Without the torment of the origin energy, they could recover very quickly with their bodies as magical beasts. At this moment, a figure appeared from outer space. He flew over in a hurry from afar. He was a white-robed, middle-aged man. He possessed a graceful bearing, but his face was rather evil. "Holy Emperor of the Humans, you've finally come out. I had thought you were going to hide for quite some time," said Ye Xinyun with a deep voice. Her voice was extremely cold and contained slivers of heavy killing intent. The middle-aged man was the Path Lord of Carnal Desires. He had arrived long ago, but he had remained hidden in outer space. Earlier, the Path Lord had secretly peeped on Yaishan time and time again. His eyes were filled with lust, which had already made Yaishan unhappy. The Path Lord clasped his hands at Yaishan before glancing past the heavenly enchantress. Afterward, he said to the barrier spirit, "I have offended you in the past, so please remove the origin energy from my body as well." Xiaoling gently snorted and removed the origin energy from the Path Lord's body, rather unwillingly. Xiaoling hated the three people who had bullied her brother. However, they needed to maintain their peak condition now that they faced the threat of the world of Forsaken Saint. The Path Lord became slightly excited when he sensed that the origin energy that had tormented him for several years had finally disappeared. He immediately ingested a high-level radiant spirit pill and began to heal. The heavenly enchantress coldly stared at the Path Lord and coldly said, "Path Lord of Carnal Desires, if this happens again, I definitely won't spare you." Everyone present looked over with the heavenly enchantress words. They all stared at her in shock. No one had thought that she would actually threaten a holy emperor. Chapter 1305. The heavenly enchantress showed no fear. She coldly stared at the Path Lord and emotionlessly said, "You don't have the final say on whether my way of the zither can pose a threat to you. We'll know once we try." The heavenly enchantress had already placed her zither before her chest. She gently plucked the strings with her slender, white fingers. Clearly, she was prepared to fight the Path Lord. The Path Lord's gaze suddenly sharpened. Two beams of light shot out from his eyes as he stared at the heavenly enchantress in a shocking manner. The evilness on his face became even greater as he sneered, "You want to fight me? However, I'll make it clear first. If you lose, you'll become my 91st wife. Are you willing?" The heavenly enchantress' face sank. Killing intent immediately filled her eyes, but before she could say anything, the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall flew out of the crowd and coldly said to the Path Lord, "What a shameless human saint emperor! You've embarrassed your human race. Path Lord of carnal desires, since you're so confident, I'll fight with you. If I lose, you can do whatever you want with me, but if you lose, I'll take your life." With that, Yadrium began to glow with blue light. An extremely terrifying power of water radiated from her, causing the surrounding space to violently tremble. The energy in the surroundings became violent. At the same time, a tremendous presence radiated from Yadrium, causing the surroundings to tremble. It engulfed the Path Lord without any fear. The Path Lord of carnal desires immediately sank. The tremendous pressure caused his clothes to stick tightly to his body. His expression darkened at that moment. He never thought that the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall would actually step forward at a time like this. Moreover, he never thought that the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall would actually be so powerful. This had completely exceeded his expectations. The three Saint Emperors from the Beast God continent became rather stern as well. They all sternly stared at the Hall Master of the Sea Goddess Hall. Although they had not clashed with Yadrium, they could sense just how powerful she was from her presence alone. Even Kaiser was not confident he could defeat her. Of the four supreme experts of ancient times, 3 of them have already died. Only the goddess of the sea race is still alive. The Hall Master of Poseidon must have received Poseidon's legacy, which is why she can become so powerful. She even knows the shocking secret techniques that Poseidon personally passed down to her. Her battle prowess cannot be underestimated. I can't become her enemy. Kaiser and Lankiros both wanted to fight. Their fear for Yadrium had already surpassed their fear for the heavenly enchantress. This was because they both thought that it was extremely likely that there was an Origin Realm expert who had surpassed the Holy Emperor behind Yadrium. Her strength was not something that regular Holy Emperor could compare to. The Path Lord's face was extremely sunken. He really wanted to take the heavenly enchantress under his wing so that she could serve him every day. He really did not want to let go of such a beautiful woman. Although the heavenly enchantress' soul attacks were very powerful, the Path Lord was confident he could deal with them. However, he had no confidence in dealing with Yadrium at all. For a moment, the Path Lord was stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he advanced, it was extremely likely that he would end up fighting Yadrium, but if he retreated, he would feel very embarrassed as a mighty holy emperor. If I were to completely sever all my emotions and desires, I wouldn't need to fear the sea deity Hall Master at all. The Path Lord was filled with resentment. He had an extremely strong feeling that if he completely severed his emotions and desires, he would definitely be reborn and become an Origin Realm expert. However, he still could not overcome the last few obstacles. "Humph, you detestable bastard. If you dare to bully Big Brother's friend again, Xiaoling definitely won't spare you. She'll beat you to a pulp." Xiaoling swung her fist and viciously said to the Path Lord. She was extremely angry. She could sense a very familiar presence from the heavenly enchantress. The presence belonged to her big brother, so Xiaoling knew that the heavenly enchantress had a special relationship with her big brother. As a result, she was very protective of the heavenly enchantress. The Path Lord's face immediately changed when he heard Xiao Ling's words. He only felt fear towards the Hall Master of Poseidon, but he felt fear towards Xiao Ling from the bottom of his heart. He had experienced Xiao Ling's power very well. Although she seemed like an innocent girl, the power she possessed was extremely terrifying. She could kill an expert like the Holy Emperor with a wave of her hand. At the same time, the Path Lord knew that even if he severed all his emotions and reached a certain level of comprehension, he would not be Xiao Ling's opponent. This was because he would only become a receival expert at most after reaching a certain level of comprehension, while Xiao Ling had already reached returnance. The experts of the humans, magical beasts, 100 races, and sea race all paid attention. Yadrium, the Path Lord of carnal desires, and the heavenly enchantress had become the focus of attention. There were also quite a few people among the experts of the 100 races and sea race who paid attention to Xiao Ling. The barrier spirit of Mercenary City was actually an origin realm expert, which surprised and shocked many people. Just as the Path Lord was stuck between a rock and a hard place, a terrifying pulse of energy suddenly appeared in the distance. Even though it was several 100,000 kilometers away from Mercenary City, the 2,000 Holy Emperor experts gathered there could clearly sense it. The terrifying pressure from afar shocked all of them. No one paid any more attention to Yadrium and the Path Lord. They all looked into the distance and sternly stared in that direction. What's going on there? Why is there such a shocking pulse of energy? Even the mysteries of the world have been affected. They've become rather disorderly. Have the people from the world of Forsaken Saints found another exit and are using another tunnel to enter our Tian Yuan continent? That's extremely likely. This is no small matter. Let's go and check the situation immediately. All the experts of the Holy Emperor discussed among themselves. They quickly constructed space gates and left. Very soon, half of the people had left, leaving behind around 1,000 Holy Emperor experts of the 4 races. They closely observed the situation in the tunnel. The Path Lord of carnal desires also used this opportunity to escape. He was the first to hurry over, followed by the 3 Holy Emperor experts, the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall, and the other Holy Emperor experts. They all hurried in the direction of the terrifying pulse of energy. Flame City, where the Flame mercenaries were stationed, had already sunk into darkness. Just a moment ago, the sun had been shining brightly, but a thick, dark cloud had drifted over from somewhere recently. It enveloped the entire region, blocking out the sunlight and causing the entire world to darken. Chapter 1306. Not only did the sudden change in weather alarm everyone in Flame City, but it also alarmed everyone in the region enveloped by the dark cloud. The dark clouds had arrived far too quickly and were filled with an extremely vast pulse of energy, forming a terrifying pressure that made everyone suffocate. Everything seemed far too abnormal. Yu Yu, Bai Lian, Bai Hai, and the other saint rulers all stood outside the city lord's estate. They all stared at the sky in surprise. The dark clouds were strange, so they had no idea what was happening. Fairy Haoyue currently sat in a secret room in the silver-white bright moon divine hall. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open and she stared up in interest. Although she was hidden in the divine hall, her gaze seemed to be able to pierce through the various obstructions and see what was happening outside. This is a heavenly tribulation. Heavenly tribulations usually only appear in the saints' world and rarely appear in lower world. Has something impressive appeared in this world? Fairy Haoyue murmured to herself as the light in her eyes flickered. Bai Hai stared at the rapidly spinning vortex in the center of the dark clouds for a while before saying to Yu Yu and Bai Lian, "Something's very wrong there. I'll go take a look first. Protect yourselves well." With that, Bai Hai flew over by himself. "Be careful, great-grandfather," Bai Lian called out from behind. Her voice was filled with concern. She stared at the huge vortex in the center of the dark clouds for a while before seeming to sense that something was off. She said to Yu Yu, Sister Yu, these dark clouds are far too strange. I'm afraid that something will happen to great-grandfather, so you better take me with you. I still have the flaming jadeite brother gave me. It can unleash an attack from the Holy Emperor at great perfection. It'll be very useful at crucial moments. Yu nodded. She grabbed Bai Lian's waist and followed behind Bai Hai. Bai Lian was not a Heaven Saint Master right now, so she was unable to fly. As a result, she needed Yu's help. At this moment, there was a flash of silver-white light. The bright moon divine hall flew out of the city lord's estate and blocked Yu and Bai Lian's path. My disciples, you can't go over. Stay here. These are not ordinary dark clouds, but a heavenly tribulation. Once you're sucked into the tribulation lightning, even the Holy Emperor will probably die. Fairy Haoyue's voice rang out from the divine hall. Yu and Bai Lian did not know what a heavenly tribulation was, but they immediately paled in fright when they heard Fairy Haoyue's words. They said in a panic, Master, great-grandfather Bai Hai has already flown over. Hurry up and call him back. We can't let anything happen to great-grandfather Bai Hai. A band of light completely condensed from moonlight flew out of the divine hall. It moved with unbelievable speed, catching up to Bai Hai in a single instant. It wrapped around Bai Hai's waist and pulled him back. Bai Hai knew that this was Fairy Haoyue's actions, so he did not resist. He allowed the band of light to pull him back. Just when he wanted to ask about his doubts, Fairy Haoyue's voice rang out from the divine hall. None of you are allowed to approach the center of the tribulation lightning, or you'll definitely die even if you possess the strength of the Holy Emperor. If someone else had said that, they definitely would have scoffed. No one would believe that a strange cloud could actually kill a Holy Emperor. However, the person who had said that was Fairy Haoyue. No matter how exaggerated it sounded, they had no choice but to believe it. After hearing Fairy Haoyue's words, Bai Hai's expression changed. Bai Hai's face immediately changed. A sliver of fear appeared in his eyes as he stared at the tribulation lightning. At this moment, the space several dozen kilometers away began to pulse violently. Space gates rapidly ripped open and large groups of Holy Emperor experts walked out. There was no lack of Holy Emperor experts among them. The large group of experts who had hurried over from Mercenary City arrived at the same time. However, as soon as they arrived, they quickly flew toward the tungsten alloy mine. In the end, they stopped 10 kilometers away from the vortex at the center of the dark cloud. They all sternly stared at the rapidly spinning vortex. They did not dare to act recklessly before they understood the situation. Strange. Just what has happened here? Why has such a large, dark cloud suddenly appeared? The dark cloud is strange. It doesn't seem like a tunnel to the world of forsaken saints. The energy hidden within the dark cloud is far too great. My strength has already reached the 7th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperors, but I still feel my heart skip a beat. Many of the Holy Emperor experts who had hurried over from Mercenary City gathered together and discussed the strange, dark cloud. A few bolder Holy Emperor experts had already begun making their way toward the vortex. The bright moon divine hall flew over from afar. It shone with a layer of pure moonlight. Fairy Haoyue's cold voice boomed out from the divine hall. This is a heavenly tribulation. It's extremely rare here. The area below the vortex is within the range of the heavenly tribulation. Once you step in, the heavenly tribulation will lock onto you. Even if there is a Holy Emperor among you, death is certain. You'll only end up with your souls destroyed in the end. That's all I have to say. Take care. After warning everyone, Fairy Haoyue controlled the bright moon divine hall to hover in another direction, 20 kilometers away from the range of the heavenly tribulation. A heavenly tribulation? What's that? All the experts from the Holy Emperor were doubtful. They had lived for several thousand years and had heard many strange stories. Some of them even had a clear understanding of the matters of ancient times, but they had never heard of the heavenly tribulation that Fairy Haoyue had mentioned. Even the 10 protector clans with long histories were the same. They were extremely unfamiliar with the term because the ancient records in their clans did not contain any records of the heavenly tribulation. Fairy Haoyue, may I ask what the heavenly tribulation is? Why has it appeared? What does it signify? And how do you know it's a heavenly tribulation? A great elder of a protector clan asked calmly. He treated Fairy Haoyue as an equal. After all, Fairy Haoyue was only a soul now, so the threat she posed to them was nowhere near as great as a living holy emperor. Yadrium, the 3 holy emperors, and the Path Lord of carnal desires all stared at the divine hall. The divine hall had been forged from the distant moon, so it was extremely rare and precious. Even holy emperors might not possess it because they were just too far away from the moon. At the same time, space gates could not be constructed in outer space, so they could only fly to the moon. Fairy Haoyue did not say anything else. Whether it was the Holy Emperor present or the 5 Holy Emperor present, she did not pay any attention to them. She had personally come with the Divine Hall because she wanted to see just what had caused the heavenly tribulation. Heavens, what am I seeing? There's actually a city completely forged from tungsten alloy. That's tungsten alloy. Just by weight, it's much more valuable than purple coins. Just how much tungsten alloy was used to construct such a large city? A holy emperor from overseas discovered the city in the distance and immediately sighed in amazement. His eyes shone. A few other holy emperors from overseas immediately looked over with that. Their eyes immediately widened when they saw that. It's unbelievable. It really is a city completely forged from tungsten alloy. As long as you possess a city like that, you'll definitely become the wealthiest and noblest person on the Tian Yuan continent. Am I seeing things? There are no formations or barriers in the city. There's not a single holy emperor. It seems to have been taken over by an ordinary mercenary group. Another holy emperor from overseas sighed in amazement. His eyes burned with desire. Although money was nothing to holy emperors, it was still enough to tempt many holy emperors when the wealth reached an unbelievable level. They wanted to take it for themselves. The other holy emperors from the Tian Yuan continent all looked at the 2 of them like they were idiots. A kind-hearted holy emperor arrived beside the 2 of them and said softly, "Brothers, I'd advise you to give up on Flame City. Don't even look at it for too long, or I can guarantee that you'll regret it. It's something that even the 10 protector clans don't dare to touch." The 2 holy emperors from overseas immediately shrunk their necks when they heard that. They quickly looked away and dismissed their thoughts. Even the other holy emperors from overseas acted the same. How could they covet something that even the 10 protector clans did not dare to touch? Chapter 1307. Unbelievable. It really is a city completely forged from tungsten alloy. As long as you possess this city, you'll definitely become the wealthiest and noblest person on the Tian Yuan continent. Am I seeing things? There are no formations or barriers in the city. There's no holy emperor either. It seems to have been taken over by an ordinary mercenary group. Another holy emperor from overseas sighed in amazement. His eyes burned with desire. Although money was nothing to holy emperor experts, it was still enough to tempt many holy emperors when the wealth reached an unbelievable level. They wanted to take it for themselves. The surrounding holy emperors all stared at the 2 of them like they were idiots when they heard what the 2 holy emperors had said. One of the kind-hearted holy emperors arrived beside the 2 of them and whispered, "Brothers, I'd advise you to stop thinking about Flame City. Don't even look at it, or I can guarantee that you'll regret it, because it's something that even the 10 protector clans don't dare to touch." The 2 holy emperors from overseas immediately shrunk their necks when they heard that. They quickly shifted their gazes and dismissed their thoughts. Even the other holy emperors from overseas did the same. Something that even the 10 protector clans did not dare to touch was not something they could covet. At this moment, the pressure between heaven and earth suddenly increased. Soon after, a deafening roar sounded. A huge lightning bolt that was half a meter thick struck down from the vortex. The intense light illuminated heaven and earth, bringing about an instant of snow white. It draped over the mountain range below at an unbelievable speed. Kacha! The sound of the thunderclap shook the heavens and the earth as it struck the tungsten alloy vein at lightning speed. Immediately, a loud rumbling sound erupted. Most of the tungsten alloy had already been mined by the flame mercenaries. Only the layer of tungsten alloy that was relatively purer remained. This was because the tungsten alloy was just too pure and extremely tough. Even a full-powered strike from a Heaven Saint Master would only leave behind a shallow mark, making it extremely difficult to mine. Probably only Saint rulers had the ability to continue mining. However, as a Saint King, how could he lower himself to do such a thing? Thus, this batch of tungsten alloy with higher purity had been left here without touching. However, at this moment, as the heavenly lightning struck, a bottomless black hole appeared in the incomparably hard tungsten alloy vein below. The tungsten alloy vein that was struck by the heavenly lightning disappeared without a trace, as if it had been struck into nothingness by the heavenly lightning. The entire tungsten alloy mine was shaking violently. The earth was shaking and the mountains were shaking as if a great earthquake had occurred. Countless mountains in the surroundings collapsed. In the blink of an eye, thick cracks appeared on the rock. In the blink of an eye, the entire mountain range had changed beyond recognition. The Holy Emperor experts gathered in the surroundings all became rather pale. They stared at the strange, thick clouds in the sky in both shock and fear. All of them subconsciously began to slowly retreat. The moment the bolt of lightning struck, all of them felt an extremely powerful energy from it. It filled them with fear. They had never seen such a powerful bolt of lightning before. Even the Holy Emperor at great perfection felt like he was an ant before it. It was not just the Holy Emperor. Even the 5 Holy Emperor experts gathered there became extremely stern. The power of the lightning had completely exceeded their imaginations. None of them were confident that they could block the bolt of lightning. Even if they managed to block it, they would probably be half dead. The power of the tribulation struck fear into everyone. The 5 Holy Emperor experts and over 1,000 Holy Emperor experts all retreated time and time again. They only stopped after retreating 20 kilometers away. They were afraid that they would be affected. Only Fairy Haoyue remained where she was. She understood the tribulation extremely well and knew just how powerful it was. She also knew how to avoid it. As long as she was not within the range of the tribulation lightning, she would not be affected. Bai Lien, and Yu arrived with the saint rulers of the flame mercenaries. All of them gathered beside the bright moon divine hall. There were just far too many Holy Emperor experts gathered there. If anything happened, they could hide in the divine hall as soon as possible. Crack! Another deafening sound rang out. A few seconds after the first bolt of lightning, a second bolt of lightning descended. It struck the same spot with an extremely dazzling light. The second bolt of lightning was clearly much more powerful than the first. It had grown from half a meter thick to a meter thick. Pitch-black cracks appeared in space wherever it passed by. The tungsten ore below was reduced to dust without leaving behind a single speck of dust. It was directly vaporized and reduced to nothingness. All that was left behind was a black hole that was a meter wide and of unknown depth. Suddenly, a faint, golden light shone from the bottomless black hole. The golden light was extremely thin in the beginning, but it rapidly increased at a visible rate. In just a few seconds, the golden light from the black hole became extremely dazzling, as resplendent as gold. A tremendous, terrifying pulse of energy radiated from the black hole, causing the expressions of the Holy Emperor experts to change. The Holy Emperor felt his heart skip a beat. What terrifying pulses of energy! These pulses of energy are no weaker than the Holy Emperor's. Just what is there? Has something happened to a treasure of the world? Is it specially used to deal with the threat from the world of forsaken saints? Just what is hidden in the tungsten alloy mine? It's actually angered the heavens and caused them to be struck by lightning. Is this a blessing or a curse for our Tian Yuan continent? Oh no, the pulses of energy from the depths of the tungsten alloy mine are rapidly increasing in strength. The lightning is so powerful, yet it still can't kill this unknown thing? All the Saint Kings discussed among themselves. None of them were able to remain calm. The 5 Saint Emperors were all stern as they stared at the bottomless hole that had been created by the bolt of lightning. Many people had already used various methods to investigate just what was in the depths of the tungsten alloy mine, but the place was currently enveloped by a powerful energy. No matter what they did, they were unable to penetrate it. Even the Holy Emperor was no exception. At this moment, the bottom of the bottomless black hole was a space of 30 meters wide. A ball of golden liquid hovered in the air, shining with a dazzling golden light. The ball of golden liquid seemed to be completely condensed from energy. The energy within it was so great that it was enough to stun anyone. Even the Holy Emperor was not as powerful as it. Chapter 1308. The third bolt of lightning struck, and its power increased once again. It was much more violent than the second bolt of lightning, growing from 1 meter to 1.5 meters in diameter. The lightning struck the golden liquid with lightning speed, causing it to tremble violently. However, the golden liquid was able to withstand the lightning bolts that even the Holy Emperor did not dare to face. It was not destroyed by the lightning bolts, but it was reduced in size. However, if one looked closely, they would discover that although the golden liquid had shrunk under the violent bombardment of the tribulation lightning, the energy it contained was constantly increasing. It was undergoing a qualitative leap. Moreover, the features of the human infant that it had condensed had become even more distinct and distinct. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and the lightning bolts continued to strike. The 4th bolt, the 5th bolt, the 6th bolt, the 7th bolt, the 8th bolt. Soon, 8 bolts of lightning struck down. Each bolt of lightning struck the same spot, and each bolt was stronger and thicker than the last. When the 8th bolt of lightning struck down, it was powerful enough to destroy the world. The world was plunged into darkness, and the Yuan Qi within a radius of 10,000 miles was evaporated. The laws of nature were disrupted, and the holy kings and holy emperors were almost unable to float in the air. The 5 holy emperors turned pale. They all felt the threat of death in front of the 8th bolt of lightning. This bolt of lightning was powerful enough to kill a holy emperor in an instant. The holy emperor was powerless in front of this bolt of lightning. What kind of terrifying thing is hidden in there? Even such a terrifying bolt of lightning can't destroy it? The 5 holy emperors were all filled with great curiosity. They also felt uneasy. Although no one had been able to find out what was hidden beneath the tungsten alloy mine, they all knew that it was powerful and terrifying, which made many of them feel fear. An Origin Realm expert has been born on the Tian Yuan continent. It's a pity that there's no Origin energy in this world, so it's no longer suitable for Origin Realm experts to cultivate. Even the tunnel to the Saints' world has been sealed by Shui Yunlan. If nothing goes wrong, the Origin Realm spirit will struggle to leave this place. He'll remain in the Origin Realm for the rest of his life, Jianchen sighed. Fairy Haoyue murmured to herself as a soul in the bright moon divine hall. She was also unable to see what was going through the tribulation, but she had guessed it long ago with her knowledge and experience. Rumble! At this time, the thunder in the sky rumbled with a series of muffled booms. It sounded like the roar of a furious dragon. The entire tribulation cloud began to violently churn. Vast and boundless energy gathered from all directions, all of it condensing at the center. Everyone became greatly shocked when they saw this. They could already tell that the tribulation cloud was beginning to charge up. It wanted to unleash its most powerful attack. At the same time, the energy fluctuation from the bottom of the tungsten alloy mine grew stronger and stronger. Soon after, the metal essence in the entire tungsten alloy mine began to rapidly gather from all directions. Without the metal essence, The originally extremely hard tungsten alloy immediately lost its original luster and turned into an extremely ordinary rock that would shatter with a single strike. In just a few seconds, the largest tungsten alloy mine on the Tianyuan continent no longer had any tungsten alloy. It had been reduced to an extremely ordinary mountain. The tribulation lightning in the sky had also finished brewing. With a huge roar that resounded through the heavens and earth, the 9th bolt of tribulation lightning struck down like a bolt of lightning. This bolt of tribulation lightning was 4 to 5 meters thick, and its momentum was terrifying. It could destroy the heavens and earth. Wherever the tribulation lightning passed, space shattered like a mirror, and the entire void became eternal darkness. At the same time, a tremendous pulse of energy appeared. A dazzling golden light rose up from below, rapidly expanding into the sky as if it wanted to fend off the darkness. It was a pillar of pure golden energy. Like a serpent dragon, it was vicious and violent as it shot into the sky with an unstoppable force. It collided with the descending tribulation lightning in the air. Boom! The collision of the two immediately produced an extremely terrifying sound. Violent streams of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing the entire mountain range to shatter. Countless mountains and cliffs were flattened. After a long time, the rumbling of thunder finally disappeared. After a long while, the crack in space closed up and the world regained its light. The tribulation lightning in the sky had completely vanished. The sun in the sky was still as gorgeous as before, illuminating the world with its dazzling light. The 8th bolt of tribulation lightning could easily kill a holy emperor, but the 9th bolt was several times more powerful than the 8th. However, such a terrifying bolt of tribulation lightning was actually able to match the golden pillar of energy that had shot out from the depths of the tungsten alloy mine. The two of them disappeared together. The holy emperor experts in the distance all hovered there with pale faces. What they had just experienced was like a dream to them. It had completely overturned everything they knew. They had never seen such terrifying lightning before, nor did they imagine that the unknown thing hidden in the depths of the tungsten alloy mine would be so terrifying. It had completely exceeded the power of a holy emperor. The 5 holy emperor experts from the sea race, magical beasts, and humans also hovered there with pale faces, speechless for a very long time. They stared blankly at the mountain range that had been completely destroyed. None of them said anything. "It's over. Let's go." Fairy Haoyue's voice rang out in Yu Yu's head. Afterward, the bright moon divine hall silently left with Bai Lian and Yu Yu. They returned to the city lord's estate in Flame City. Bai Hai glanced at the mountain range that he was no longer familiar with in fright. He slowly calmed himself down before leaving with the saint rulers of the flame mercenaries. He no longer paid any attention to what happened next. He knew very well that even if there really was a treasure here, it was not something they could touch. The tungsten alloy mine had been reduced to an extremely ordinary mountain range. Even the terrifying pulses of energy from the depths of the tungsten alloy mine had vanished. However, even with that being the case, many holy emperor experts still did not dare to approach it. They continued to stare at the huge hole that had been created by the tribulation lightning in fright. A very long time later, a bold holy emperor carefully approached it to take a look. He even directly entered the bottom of the hole, but he did not discover anything. He did not see any treasure at all. Aside from ordinary rocks, there was nothing else. Afterward, more and more holy emperor experts approached the hole to search. Even the 5 holy emperor experts began to move, but the result was the same. They failed to discover anything. Let alone a treasure, they did not even see the remains of a treasure. The lightning is so powerful that the treasure has probably been destroyed and reduced to dust. An old holy emperor sighed as he shook his head. His face was filled with pity. His words quickly gained the approval of many people because they couldn't think of any other explanation other than this. Immediately, they all revealed looks of regret. Fortunately, It's not a newly discovered tunnel from the world of Forsaken Saint. Everyone, since we're done here, let's hurry back to Mercenary City and continue guarding the tunnel, said the Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Before long, the group of Holy Emperor experts that had hurried over from Mercenary City all left. Very soon, the mountain range became desolate once again. Unlike before, it could no longer be called a mountain range. All the mountains had collapsed and a few cliffs had been flattened. Flame City was still bustling with people, but people could be heard discussing the matter of the tribulation lightning with great interest at all times on the street. Everyone's opinions varied and became more and more exaggerated, becoming more and more miraculous. Very soon there were many different versions of the story. A boy who was less than a meter tall and wore golden clothes walked through the streets of Flame City in a daze. He blinked his large, bright eyes as he timidly passed through the crowd. He looked left and right along the way, filled with curiosity about everything. The little boy was chubby and extremely cute. He only seemed to be around 3 or 4 years old. His golden clothes shone brightly, even more resplendent than gold. It seemed like they had been forged from pure gold. Chapter 13:10. Who is this child? He's dressed so luxuriously at such a young age. His clothes look like they're made from gold. I wonder which great clan he's from. Gold is extremely tough. Look at the golden clothes the child is wearing. They're soft like cloth, but the light they give off is even more dazzling than gold. You can tell with a single glance that they're made from some sort of extremely precious material. This child is so cute. He's so white and chubby, and his large eyes are filled with intelligence. He's so lovable. I have to have a child as cute as him in the future. The people on the streets all looked over and discussed amongst themselves. The boy in golden clothes was as eye-catching as a dazzling firework. He was so unique and dazzling. Quite a few people even gathered around the boy and asked him all sorts of questions. If they weren't asking for his name, they were asking about his background. There were even some people who began to fawn on the little boy, asking about his well-being. They all thought that the little boy was a member of a great family. Once they fawned on him, they would be able to leap over the Dragon Gate and achieve meteoric success. There were all sorts of people in the crowd. Not only were there people from the Flame Mercenaries, there were also people from other mercenary groups, mercenaries who had come to Flame City to worship or seek cooperation, merchants, and so on. Very soon, the boy in golden clothes was surrounded by a large group of people. They chattered incessantly, and there were quite a few people who came to watch the show. The little boy was like a child who had never seen the world. Surrounded by a large group of people, he stood there in a daze, staring at the group of people around him. His eyes were filled with curiosity, and at the same time, there was a hint of timidity. "Kid, what's your name? Kid, are you lost? Tell me where your home is, and I'll send you back." However, no matter how many people asked him, the boy remained silent. He stood there in a daze, staring at the crowd blankly. His face was filled with confusion. A few sharp-eyed people immediately saw some clues from the little boy's expression. They immediately guessed that the little boy's identity was not as complicated as they had imagined. This was because all the disciples of large aristocratic families would receive an extremely strict education from a young age. Or perhaps they would be spoiled by their parents and elders. From a young age, they would have a natural sense of pride and superiority. They would definitely not be as foolish as this little boy in front of them. Is there something wrong with this child's head? Has he been abandoned by his parents? Some people began to discuss. Immediately, the people around the boy became much quieter. Many people's gazes towards the boy changed subtly. At this moment, a fat, middle-aged man dressed as a merchant walked over to the boy's side with a set of white clothes. He crouched down and smiled. "Kid, I've been in business for several decades, so I have great taste. I can tell with a single glance that the clothes you're wearing are too ugly. They're not suitable for you. Look, I just happen to have a beautiful set of clothes, so I'll give it to you. Come, let me take off your clothes first, and then I'll put on this beautiful set of white clothes for you." With that, the middle-aged man moved quickly. He took off the boy's golden clothes as quickly as possible before putting on the expensive set of white clothes in his hand. The little boy seemed to really be a child who didn't know anything. He didn't resist and allowed the middle-aged man to take off his clothes. Then, he put on the white clothes that seemed to look even better because he could feel that the middle-aged man wouldn't hurt him. At the same time, he didn't have any hostility towards him. "You profiteer, you're even cheating a child." Many people in the surroundings began to curse when they saw this. At the same time, some people sighed inside. They were filled with regret, regretting that they had not acted earlier. They could tell with a single glance that the set of golden clothes on the boy was nothing ordinary. It was a pity that the profiteer had taken it first. The middle-aged fat man took the golden clothes and rubbed his hands hard. Sure enough, it was as soft as brocade and did not fade. It was not dyed, but made of a material that he had never seen before. With his experience, he immediately knew that this thing was extraordinary. A proud smile appeared on his face. He immediately took the clothes and disappeared into the crowd. A few burly men in the crowd looked at each other before leaving with the middle-aged man from afar. In everyone's eyes, the most valuable thing on the boy was his set of clothes. Everyone immediately lost interest in the boy when the clothes were taken away. The crowd dispersed very quickly. Without the obstruction of the crowd, the little boy continued to move forward. Along the way, he looked to the east and looked to the west, full of curiosity towards everything. Sometimes, he would reveal a thoughtful expression, and no one paid him any attention. At this moment, the middle-aged man who had tricked the boy into taking the set of golden clothes had already run out of the city. He had already noticed that a few people had followed him, but he did not care at all. Instead, he hurriedly pulled out the set of golden clothes in excitement. Based on his many years of experience, he had already concluded that the value of this set of clothes was definitely beyond his imagination. This was because even with his decades of experience, he was actually unable to recognize the material of this set of clothes. This was a material that he had never seen or heard of before. However, when the middle-aged fatty put his hand into his chest, the expression on his face immediately hardened. He did not take out the sparkling golden clothes from his chest. Instead, he grabbed a handful of soil. The soil had already turned into fine sand and slowly slid through the gaps between his fingers to the ground. What's going on?" The middle-aged fat man was stunned for a moment and then let out a cry of alarm. His expression suddenly became anxious, and he continued to reach into his chest. Unfortunately, the familiar golden clothes were gone. He couldn't find it no matter how hard he searched. He could only grab handfuls of soil and pull it out. How is this possible? How is this possible? Why is there soil? Where's the expensive set of golden clothes? Where did it go? I clearly put it in my bosom. The middle-aged man's face was dejected. He thought about everything that had happened, but he could not figure it out no matter how hard he tried. "Damn fatty, hand over the golden clothes if you don't want to die." Over a dozen burly men caught up from behind and surrounded the middle-aged man. All of them were fiendish and the leader was an Earth Saint Master. The middle-aged man had just lost his clothes and was in a fit of anger. When he saw the group of people surrounding him, his face immediately sank. He angrily yelled, "Piss off! I'm not in a good mood." The middle-aged man arrived in front of the Earth Saint Master with a single stride and directly threw a punch. A fiery red light shot out from his fist as it erupted with a threatening wave of heat. The punch was very fast. The Earth Saint Master was unable to dodge in time and could only block with his huge sword. When the middle-aged man's punch landed on the huge sword, a muffled sound immediately rang out. The first cycle Earth Saint Master was sent flying along with his sword. A sixth cycle Earth Saint Master. The first Cycle Earth Saint Master, who had surrounded the middle-aged man, cried out as his face became extremely ugly. The expressions of the burly men in the surroundings all changed when they heard the sixth Cycle Earth Saint Master. They were only great Saint Masters, so how could they be the opponent of an Earth Saint Master? They immediately turned around and fled. The middle-aged man did not chase after them. Instead, he angrily hammered his head and cursed. There must have been a hermit expert who saw the extraordinariness of the clothes and secretly tricked me. I admit defeat. I've lost a few hundred gold coins. At this moment, the boy had already passed through a street in Flame City. However, his white clothes had become golden once again. They shone brightly and were even more resplendent than gold. Not long after, the little boy was once again surrounded by a group of people. The seemingly innocent boy was once again stripped of his clothes, causing the clothes on his body to change again and again. The little boy looked at the new clothes on his body and felt very strange. He really didn't understand why these people liked to give him new beautiful clothes. However, when he looked at the new clothes on his body that were getting more and more beautiful, his heart was filled with joy. Very soon, a cry rang out from a certain part of Flame City. When the person who had tricked the boy of his clothes took the shiny clothes back to the inn, he discovered that the shiny clothes had become ordinary. Not only that, but the clothes had even been reduced to dust when he touched them. Bai Lian was busy with the daily affairs of the flame mercenaries in the city lord's estate, while Yu Yu leisurely sat to one side, eating delicious pastries. At this moment, a guard walked in from outside. He knelt down on one knee and said, "Vice City Lord, I've just received a report that an extremely strange boy has appeared in our Flame City. He's dressed in golden clothes." Chapter 13:11. Bai Lian raised her head after hearing the guard's report. She looked at the guard in doubt and asked, "You're saying that all the clothes on the boy will turn golden before long, and if he takes them off, they'll return to their original state and turn to dust?" "Yes, Vice City Lord. That is indeed the case. I've even specially sent people to verify it. It's definitely true. The boy only seems to be 3 or 4 years old. He hasn't cultivated yet he possesses such an ability. I'm guessing that he's not simple at all," the guard respectfully replied. Although he was already an Earth Saint Master and could be regarded as a decent expert, there were plenty of people like him in the Flame Mercenaries. As a result, he dared not act arrogantly before Bai Lian, who was weaker than him. Yu Yu, who was sitting to one side and eating pastries, also looked over. She became interested before saying to Bai Lian, "Sister Bai Lian, I think the boy has some innate ability. People like that are extremely rare on the Tianyuan continent. Why don't we go out and see just what's so special about the boy?" Bai Lian also became interested. She temporarily stopped what she was doing and eagerly stood up. She said, "Sure. It just so happens that I haven't gone out in a very long time. I'll use this opportunity to take a stroll around the city." Yu Yu and Bai Lian, who were around the same age, immediately agreed. They rode on 2 large Class 5 magical beasts and left the city lord's estate with a group of guards. A saint ruler secretly followed them to ensure their safety. The bright moon divine hall stood quietly in the city lord's estate. It shone with an eternal light. It was majestic and beautiful, but it was also filled with a sense of holiness. In a remote corner of Flame City was an ordinary house. It was dark inside, so dark that one couldn't even see their own fingers. It was deathly silent, but there seemed to be an invisible pressure permeating the place, giving off a very oppressive feeling. At this moment, the door to the house opened silently, but the sunlight outside did not shine in at all. A skinny person entered the house like a ghost and silently closed the door. Afterward, he knelt down on one knee and said softly, "Sect Master, Vice Sect Master, the Vice City Lord of Flame City, Bai Lian, and you have left the City Lord's estate together. Did they take the bright moon divine hall with them?" A deep and hoarse voice rang out from the darkness. "The bright moon divine hall is still in the City Lord's estate. They didn't take it with them, the kneeling person politely replied. I understand. You can leave. That low and hoarse voice sounded again, as if it was coming from all directions. It was impossible to tell the direction in the darkness. Yes, sect master, vice sect master. This subordinate will be taking his leave. The person stood up and left without leaving behind a single footstep. He even opened and closed the door silently. Fantastic. They've finally left the city lord's estate, and they didn't take the bright moon divine hall with them. Sect master, our chance for revenge has come. Another deep voice rang out from the dark house. It clearly did not belong to the same person as before. We've already been here for many days to assassinate the people most important to Jianchen. Yu and Bailian are Jianchen's fiancée and Jianchen's sister. If we kill the two of them, we'll definitely make Jianchen suffer. It's a pity that they've been hiding in the city lord's estate for the past few days and have never come out. I fear the bright moon divine hall in the city lord's estate, which is why I've been delaying it until now. Now I've finally found an opportunity. This time, we'll definitely kill the two of them. Even a Class 7, Radiant Saint Master won't be able to save them. Jianchen, our underworld sect is not so easy to bully. Now that you've destroyed our underworld sect, just wait for our crazy protection. Killing your fiancé and sister is only the first step of our revenge. The people hiding there were the sect master and vice sect master of the underworld sect, Guzhen, who had escaped from the encirclement of the Bloodsword sect. At this moment, a large group of people had gathered on a street in Flame City. They discussed spiritedly, causing the entire street to be heavily jammed. At the center of the crowd was a little boy in golden clothes. He stood there in a daze as he stared at the people around him in confusion. His cute little face was filled with curiosity. Ever since he came to Flame City, which he found to be extremely familiar and intimate with, he had been surrounded by large groups of people many times. Many people fought over each other to give him new, beautiful clothes, which made him extremely happy. However, he still did not understand why these people loved to surround him and point at him. I've heard that no matter what the clothes are, they'll immediately turn into gold as soon as they're worn by this kid. They'll be of extremely high quality and priceless. Look at the clothes he's wearing. As long as you have a discerning eye, you'll be able to tell with a single glance that the clothes are even more valuable than gold. I've heard about this as well, but I've also heard that if you take the clothes off the kid, they'll turn back to their original state very quickly. You can't touch them either, or they'll turn to dust. Nothing will remain. What an impressive kid. Don't tell me he has the ability to turn stone into gold? If that's the case, doesn't that mean he'll have inexhaustible wealth in the future? Many people surrounded the boy as they discussed. However, when they heard about the ability to turn stone into gold, all of their eyes lit up with desire. At this moment, a middle-aged woman made her way to the boy's side. She smiled in what she believed to be a very friendly manner and said gently, "Darling, are you unable to find your family? Everyone around you is bad. Only I'm good. Come with me, and I'll take you to find your family, all right? Kid, come with me. I guarantee that you'll live a good life in the future. Little brother, you better come with me. I like you the most." The people in the surroundings began to fight over the boy. However, since they were not particularly powerful, they did not dare to use force. They could only use various methods to swindle the boy. Chapter 13:12. Nonsense. Although I don't know why this boy has appeared in Flame City, which clan does he belong to? Which family does he belong to? But I'm sure that this little boy is definitely not from the Zhou family. Is there even a need to ask? The Zhou family must have taken a fancy to the boy's special ability, which is why they want to bring him along. After all, it's extremely likely that the boy possesses the ability to turn stone into gold. If this ability matures, the Zhou family will possess endless wealth. They'll be able to purchase large amounts of monster cores and cultivation resources for their disciples, making the clan even stronger. Sigh, Who told the Zhou family to be so strong? They've brought 4 Heaven Saint Masters, and they're a reclusive clan with saint rulers. They're not people we can provoke. Looks like the boy is going to be taken away by the Zhou family. Ha ha ha, I never thought that you'd come so quickly, but unfortunately, you won't be able to take this child away. At this moment, a burst of laughter rang out. 3 middle-aged men in white robes flew over from afar and landed beside the little boy in golden robes. These 3 middle-aged men were brimming with heroic spirit. Their sword-like eyebrows reached their temples. However, the 3 of them looked exactly the same. They were twins. The 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family revealed different expressions when they saw the 3 middle-aged men. One of them said with a deep voice, "I never thought that the 3 Yun brothers of the Heartsword sect would come as well. You sure are well informed, daring to come from so far away so quickly." The 4 Heaven Saint Masters from the reclusive Zhou family clearly feared the 3 Yun brothers from the Heartsword sect very much. Although the Heartsword sect was also a reclusive clan like the Zhou family, the Heartsword sect was much more powerful than the Zhou family because they possessed 3 saint rulers, far more than the Zhou family. Moreover, these 3 Yun brothers were all at rank 6 Realm Masters, and they were twins, they were telepathic and knew how to attack together. Their cooperation was flawless, and if the 3 of them attacked at the same time, they could easily defeat the 4 of them. The eldest of the 3 Yun brothers chuckled and clasped his hands at the 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family. He said, "My Heartsword sect wants to take this child away. Your Zhou family should have no objections, right?" Seeing the hesitation on the faces of the 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family, the second of the 3 Yun brothers immediately sneered, "You better not say that this child is from your Zhou family. As for the reason, I think you should all understand." The faces of the 4 Heaven Saint Masters from the Zhou family immediately became ugly with that. After a moment of hesitation, the person who seemed to be the leader finally clenched his teeth and said, "All right, our Zhou family doesn't want this child. If your Heartsword sect wants him, then take him back. I hope your Heartsword sect can protect this child. This child's ability is so special that it has probably attracted the attention of a few ancient clans." The eldest of the 3 Yun brothers gently smiled. "This is a matter of our Heartsword, the Zhou family, don't worry." With that, the eldest of the 3 Yun brothers said to the person beside him, "Third brother, go take this child away." The 3 Yun brothers were secretly rather worried. This was the territory of the Flame Mercenaries. They did not know whether the upper echelon of the Flame Mercenaries had received the news or not. They needed to take the child away before the people of the Flame Mercenaries arrived. The youngest of the 3 Yun brothers nodded. He arrived beside the child and extended his arms to pick him up, but in the next moment, his face slightly changed. A sliver of surprise appeared in his eyes as he looked at the child. He could not help but cry out, "What a heavy child! This child weighs several thousand kilograms at the very least." Everyone in the surroundings fell into an uproar when they heard that. A few experts possessed many abilities that could make their bodies as heavy as mountains, connecting them to the ground. However, the child before them was only 3 or 4 years old, yet he possessed such an ability. This made everyone sigh in amazement once again. The youngest of the 3 Yun brothers immediately switched to using both hands. He wanted to pick up the child from the ground, but when he used all his strength to the point where his face was completely red, he still failed to move the child at all. The third of the 3 Yun brothers was shocked. He looked at the little boy with eyes full of horror. With his strength, he could even lift things that weighed tens of thousands of kilograms. However, he couldn't carry this little boy who was less than a meter tall. This made him feel incredulous. The eldest of the 3 Yun brothers frowned slightly. At that moment, he realized that the child was probably not as simple as he had imagined. This only made him even more desperate to take the child to the Heartsword sect as soon as possible, just in case the child was taken away by another organization. "Second brother, let's do it together. The eldest of the three brothers shouted in a low voice, and then he and the second brother hugged the little boy's petite body at the same time. However, what shocked everyone was that even with the three brothers working together, they were still unable to lift the little boy from the ground. The boy blinked his large, black eyes as he stared at the three Yun brothers in confusion. His pure gaze made the three Yun brothers want to vomit blood. They were mighty sixth cycle heaven saint masters, yet they were unable to pick up a child. Even though this child was different from the rest, it still made the three brothers lose face. The Vice City Lord has arrived. At this moment, a loud voice rang out from outside the crowd, immediately causing an uproar. The dense crowd that blocked the street all consciously opened up a wide path. The hearts of the three Yun brothers immediately sank when they heard the voice. What they worried about the most had still happened. Yu Yu and Bai Lian slowly made their way over on their large, mighty Class 5 magical beast. Several dozen guards followed beside them. Even the weakest of the guards was a third cycle Earth Saint Master and wore tungsten alloy armor. There were even 10 Heaven Saint Masters who had established a final line of defense in the inner circle. Greetings to the Vice City Lord. All the people gathered on the street clasped their hands and bowed. They called out together, causing their voices to shake the sky. Whether it was in the Flame Mercenaries or Flame City, the position of Vice City Lord was an existence that stood above everyone else. It was even nobler than the kings of the 8 great kingdoms on the continent. The three brothers of the Heartsword sect sighed inside. They let go of the boy helplessly and bowed to Bai Lian politely with the 4 Heaven Saint Masters of the Zhou family. They said together, "Greetings to the Vice City Lord." "There's no need to be so courteous." Bai Lian smiled. Her voice was gentle and her tone was flat. She had already gone through something like this who knew how many times, so she could easily deal with it. "What a cute little boy." Sima Yu Yu's eyes lit up as she stared at the little boy in golden clothes. Her heart was filled with fondness. Bai Lian's gaze also landed on the boy, and her eyes immediately lit up. She also became fond of him. The little boy was fair and chubby. His pair of big black eyes were filled with innocence and innocence. He was indeed very cute. Not to mention girls, even some men couldn't help but take a few more glances at him and exclaim in admiration. The little boy stared at Sima Yu Yu and Bai Lian without blinking. His eyes were filled with curiosity and confusion. He didn't know why, but when he saw Bai Lian and Sima Yu Yu, he felt especially close. That was because Bai Lian and Sima Yu Yu had an aura that made the little boy feel very warm. Yu Yu and Bai Lian dismounted at the same time and quickly arrived by the boy's side. The 10 Heaven Saint Masters immediately followed them closely, protecting the two of them to the best of their abilities. Even the Heaven Saint Masters from the Hermit Zhou family and the Heartsword sect were chased 10 meters away. However, the Heaven Saint Masters from the Zhou family and the Heartsword sect did not dare to show any displeasure. Instead, they smiled and accompanied the two of them. "Little boy, tell sister, what's your name?" Yu Yu squatted beside the little boy and asked softly with a kind smile on her face. The boy stared at Yu Yu in confusion. He said nothing. "Little boy, tell sister, what's your name and where do you live?" Bai Lian asked as well. She was concerned. The boy was also at a loss. He said nothing, as if he did not know how to speak at all. At this moment, Yu Yu's body trembled violently. Her expression changed drastically in an instant. She looked at the little boy with eyes filled with extreme shock and disbelief. She had just received a message from Fairy Haoyue and learnt the boy's true identity. The boy was the metallic spirit that had endured the 9 bolts of lightning in the depths of the tungsten alloy mine. He was a natural spirit and possessed extremely great potential. Not only that, Yu Yu had also learnt from Fairy Haoyue that the boy had actually surpassed the Holy Emperor, an expert of the Origin realm. Yu Yu was extremely shocked. She refused to believe that the harmless-looking boy before her was even more terrifying than the Holy Emperor and that he had already reached the same level as the 4 great experts of ancient times. Yu, what's wrong? Bai Lian sensed Yu's change and immediately became suspicious. Yu sucked in a deep breath and forced herself to calm down. However, her gaze toward the boy had changed drastically. After a moment of silence, Yu extended her hand towards the boy with a trembling hand. She gently said, "Little boy, sister knows that you have no home to return to. Why don't you come with me and live with me in the future? I'll treat you like my own brother, all right?" Perhaps the boy understood Yu's words or understood what Yu meant, but he did not refuse. He obediently grabbed Yu's hand. The boy felt especially close to Yu and Bai Lian, as if they were his family. This was because Yu and Bai Lian possessed a presence that made him feel extremely warm. Just like that, the little boy was carried by Sima Yu onto the 5th-ranked Devil Beast mount. However, what surprised everyone was that the 5th-ranked Devil Beast mount was actually able to bear the little boy's weight with ease. It was as if the little boy's petite body was no longer as heavy as it used to be. The 3 Yun brothers looked at this scene with a bitter expression. Now, they didn't need to think to know that the little boy was resisting the 3 of them just now. He didn't want to follow the 3 of them, so his body became so heavy that the 3 of them couldn't move him at all. Chapter 13:13. Just when Yu and Bai Lian were about to return to the city lord's estate with the boy, the space within a radius of 100 meters suddenly froze. All the people in the area were immobilized, including the saint ruler who secretly protected Bai Lian. Chapter 13:08. As soon as the space there froze, the walls of 2 restaurants on the 2 sides of the street loudly shattered. 2 figures shot out with lightning-like speed. Both of them wielded pitch-black daggers. One of them charged toward Yu while the other charged toward Bai Lian. The 2 of them moved extremely quickly. They seemed to have fused with the space around them, using spatial force to arrive before Yu and Bai Lian in a short moment. They stabbed their daggers toward Yu and Bai Lian's foreheads in an attempt to disperse their souls so that even Class 7, Radiant Saint Masters would not be able to save them. This time, the strongest person in Yu and Bai Lian's group of guards was only a saint ruler. They did not have any holy emperor to secretly protect them, so the group of extremely powerful guards was completely useless against the 2 assassins who had reached the level of the holy emperor. They were reduced to mere decorations. Even the saint ruler who secretly protected them was the same. He was immobilized by the frozen space created by the holy emperor. However, not everyone within a radius of 100 meters was affected by the frozen space created by the 2 holy emperor assassins. The boy in golden clothes who sat on the Class 5 magical beast with Yu was not affected at all. He stared at the 2 holy emperor assassins with his large, innocent eyes. He seemed to be around 3 or 4 years old, but he seemed to be able to capture the figures of the 2 holy emperor assassins. At the same time, a gentle white light rose from Sima Yu's body. The moon god's scepter that Sima Yu had placed in her interspatial ring flew out by itself. It was small and exquisite, and the ancient patterns were clearly visible, especially the white gem on the top, which was the size of a fist. It emitted a gentle moonlight. The moon god's scepter hovered in front of Yu. Suddenly, a powerful ripple of energy surged out from the fist-sized white gem at the top of the scepter. It formed a barrier that seemed weak, but was extremely powerful. It enveloped Yu and Bai Lian. This was the power that Fairy Haoyue had left behind all those years ago. It was the power of the Holy Emperor when she was at her peak, and it had been activated at a crucial moment. At this moment, the 2 holy emperor assassins were less than a meter away from Yu and Bai Lian. A gleam of light immediately flashed through the eyes of the 2 holy emperor assassins when they saw Yu and Bai Lian become protected by the barrier of energy. They struck out as hard as they could. The tremendous energy within them surged into their daggers, cutting through the surrounding space. They were determined to kill them in a single strike. At this moment, the little boy's gaze finally underwent some subtle changes. He was no longer at a loss, nor was he filled with curiosity towards everything. Instead, his eyes had become as bright as the stars, and there was also a hint of anger mixed within. The boy could sense the killing intent from the two Holy Emperor assassins. If the two Holy Emperor assassins had tried to assassinate anyone else, even if they had tried to assassinate Yu Yu and Bai Lian's guards, the boy would not have reacted at all. However, they had chosen to assassinate Yu Yu and Bai Lian, whom the boy found to be extremely close and warm. In the blink of an eye, the boy struck out. He extended his two tender, white hands. The golden light on his palms was even more dazzling than gold, and even more dazzling than the sun. The golden light directly enveloped the two Holy Emperor assassins. In the next moment, before the two Holy Emperor assassins' daggers could reach the barrier of moonlight around Yu Yu and Bai Lian, their rapidly approaching bodies came to a halt. They had been trapped in the air by a mysterious and powerful force. The two Holy Emperor assassins were greatly shocked. They had been Holy Emperor experts for many years. Although they had not reached perfection, even a perfection Holy Emperor would not be able to trap them completely. At most, they would only be able to slow them down for a moment. However, they were now trapped by this mysterious force. Not only were they unable to move at all, even the energy within their bodies was no longer under their control. They had become completely ordinary people, which left them extremely shocked. The two Holy Emperor assassins had been trapped. The space within 100 meters that had been frozen by the Holy Emperor's ability returned to normal. The several dozen guards in the surroundings all reacted. "There are assassins! Protect the Vice City Lord and Yu Yu!" The hidden saint ruler called out. He was the first to aggressively charge toward the two Holy Emperor assassins. However, his face had already paled. It was not because he had been frightened by the two Holy Emperor assassins, but because of Yu Yu and Bai Lian. He understood just how important Yu Yu and Bai Lian were to Jianshan. If the two of them were assassinated right under his nose, he would have to bear a great responsibility. At that time, he would probably have to die to atone for his crimes. A firework shot into the air, producing a great explosion. The entire city could see it. A guard immediately sent out a distress signal. The saint ruler had already arrived beside one of the Holy Emperor assassins. He swung his machete at Luo Qi's neck without any hesitation. Even though Luo Qi possessed the strength of a Holy Emperor, he was currently trapped by the boy's terrifying ability. Not only was he unable to move, but he could not even use the power within him or any of the Holy Emperor's abilities. He was unable to dodge the Saint Ruler's attack. All he could do was watch as the blazing red machete moved toward his neck. Spurt! Luo Qi's neck was effortlessly severed from his body. Blood spurted 10 meters into the air, but as long as the soul of a Holy Emperor was not destroyed, they would never die. The Saint Ruler was stunned by how easily he had beheaded a Holy Emperor, but he soon returned to his senses. Without any hesitation, he swung his machete at Luo Qi's head a second time in an attempt to destroy his soul. Luo Qi's head was cleaved in half by the Saint Ruler once again. His fragile soul was directly reduced to nothingness, having been destroyed. Chapter 13-14. The eyes of the sect master of the underworld sect widened. They were filled with a deep sense of unwillingness and humiliation. He was a mighty Holy Emperor, only a step away from the peak of Holy Emperor. Even across the entire Tian Yuan continent, he was someone who could do whatever he wanted. However, he was currently covered in wounds from a group of ant-like Heaven Saint Masters and even Earth Saint Masters. This was a great humiliation that he would never be able to wash away. However, it just so happened that he was unable to do anything about it. A mysterious and powerful force had restrained him, causing him to completely lose the ability to resist. He had become a living target that allowed a group of ant-like existences to heavily injure him. Spurt! 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 Several dozen Earth Saint Masters and Heaven Saint Masters swung their saint weapons at Gu Zhen's vital point. In the blink of an eye, Gu Zhen was covered in blood. He was covered in countless wounds. More than half of his neck had been chopped off. Only a third of his flesh was still connected to his head, almost causing his head to fall off. Even his head was covered in wounds and one of his eyes was blind. Although Gu Zhen was an extremely powerful Saint King, he was still a human after all. He did not possess an innately tough body like magical beasts. If a Class 8 magical beast encountered the same situation, it would probably be able to endure an attack from a saint ruler without being injured at all just by relying on the toughness of its body. Am I going to die at the hands of a group of ants today? God damn it, I never thought that there would be a holy emperor hidden in Flame City. Is it Fairy Haoyue? No, that's impossible. All that's left of Fairy Haoyue is her soul. She doesn't possess the strength she had when she was alive, Gu Zhen roared inside. Gu Zhen roared madly in his heart. He would rather die in the hands of an expert of the same level as him than be killed by a group of ants. He struggled as hard as he could, but the mysterious force that trapped him was far more powerful than he had imagined. No matter how hard he tried, it was useless. This person is a saint ruler at the very least. People who have reached that level of strength will never die as long as their souls remain intact. Let's cut off his head together. A Heaven Saint Master called out. He was unable to tell whether Gu Zhen was a saint ruler or a holy emperor with his strength. He only knew that only saint rulers possess the ability to lock down space. With that, the other protectors all slashed at Gu Zhen's head. In a short while, Gu Zhen's head was chopped to pieces by the group of protectors. However, his soul did not disperse. Instead, it condensed into an illusionary figure in the air. It was as thin as smoke. The strongest of the guards was only a sixth cycle Heaven Saint Master, so they were clearly unable to destroy Gu Zhen's soul with a single strike. However, they had heavily injured Gu Zhen's soul, causing it to become extremely illusory. Seeing that Gu Zhen was still alive even after all this, the group of guards was immediately shocked. Suddenly, a sliver of joy appeared on Gu Zhen's face. He could sense that the mysterious force that trapped him had vanished, which overjoyed him. Without any hesitation, he immediately tried to flee. However, at this moment, a fiery red blade of light flashed. The saint ruler who secretly protected Bai Lian charged over in time. The blade in his hand was wrapped in flames as he swung it toward Gu Zhen's soul with an unstoppable force. The strength of a saint ruler was not something a group of Heaven Saint Masters could compare to. Gu Zhen's soul, which had become much weaker, was directly dispersed by the saint ruler from the flame mercenaries. His soul was wiped out. After Gu Zhen's soul dispersed, the saint ruler slowly pulled his blade back. His face was flushed while his body trembled in an undetectable manner. This was caused by extremely great excitement. This was because only he knew that the two people who had assassinated Yu Yu and Bai Lian were not saint rulers. They were holy emperor experts, yet he had actually killed two holy emperor experts as a saint ruler. If news of this spread to the Tianyuan continent, it would definitely shake up the entire continent, which made him feel extremely proud. The moon god's scepter was already in Sima Yu Yu's hands. It was just that the gemstone on it had dimmed a little. Although Yu Yu and Bai Lian had just experienced something shocking, their expressions did not change at all. This was because Yu Yu had always carried the scepter with her. It contained a portion of the power that Fairy Haoyue had left behind in the past. Let alone being attacked by a holy emperor, even if they were attacked by a holy emperor, it would be enough to last until they arrived at the Bright Moon Divine Hall. Little brother, thank you so much earlier. If it weren't for you, I probably would have been in danger. Yu Yu pulled the scepter back and gently rubbed the boy's head. She was filled with love. The little boy immediately felt a warm feeling spread to his heart, as if he was being cared for by a close relative. It made him feel comfortable, made him feel tranquil, and made him feel incomparable enjoyment. The feeling of closeness and familiarity that came from Sima Yu Yu became even more intense. The boy suddenly turned his head and stared at Yu Yu. His large, black eyes were watery and innocent, but they were also filled with curiosity. A while later, he finally stammered, "SSS sister." The boy seemed to have never spoken before, so calling out sister seemed extremely difficult and awkward. Yu Yu immediately became overjoyed. She happily called out, "Oh my little brother, you've finally spoken. I had thought you couldn't speak." Yu Yu was unable to contain her excitement. She understood the boy's background very well. Just how proud was it to be called sister by an Origin Realm expert. "Little brother, be good and listen to me. Call me big sister." Bai Lian also made her way over. She stared at the boy lovingly, completely ignoring the two mangled corpses in front of her. "Sister." The boy stared at Bai Lian and called her sister again, but this time, it was much smoother. Yu Yu and Bai Lian both gave off an extremely familiar and warm presence, so the boy did not feel any resistance towards them. He even felt like Yu Yu and Bai Lian were his family. "Little brother, I bet you don't remember your name anymore. Why don't you let big sister Bai Lian give you a name? Seeing as you're wearing a set of golden clothes, I'll just call you Xiao Jin." Bai Lian giggled happily. The little boy tilted his head and thought seriously for a while. Then, he stammered, Xiao Jin, 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 Jin. At this moment, a large group of guards and saint rulers hurried over from the city lord's estate. The person in the lead was Bai Hai. His face was filled with worry, but when he saw that Yu Yu and Bai Lian were fine, he finally let out a sigh of relief. "It's a good thing you guys are fine. Otherwise, this old man would regret it to death. By the way, have you found out who is trying to assassinate you? Once we find out who is behind this, we will not let them off easily," Bai Hai said with a face full of fear. His face immediately became serious as he spoke. "Bai Hai, the two people who tried to assassinate the Vice City Lord and Princess Yu Yu are both experts of the Holy Emperor," the saint ruler in charge of protecting them said sternly. Bai Lian's face immediately changed when she heard that. After a moment of silence, she called out, "Carry their corpses away. Looks like we can only deal with this matter after my grandson returns." The Holy Emperor had exceeded the limits of Bai Hai's abilities. Aside from the Bright Moon Divine Hall, there was no other method to deal with the Holy Emperor in Flame City. Yu Yu and Bai Lian returned to the City Lord's estate in a grand fashion under the protection of a group of guards. However, a little boy in golden clothes appeared in the estate after that. He followed Yu Yu and Bai Lian like a shadow, basically sticking to them at all times. He said very little and was extremely obedient, making him lovable. He would also approach Bai Hai of his own accord from time to time, hanging around Bai Hai. Bai Hai took a liking to the child. Yu Yu also secretly told Bai Lian and Bai Hai about Xiao Jin's true identity. Bai Lian was skeptical while Bai Hai laughed aloud. He completely believed that Yu Yu was joking, so he did not believe her at all. Chapter 13-15. The sun in the world of Forsaken Saints was as red as blood, illuminating the ground with its demonic red light. The temperature was so high that people felt like they were being burned by fire when they touched their skin. The cultivation resources in the world of Forsaken Saints were incomparable to those on the Tian Yuan continent. To the people of the Tian Yuan continent, the world of Forsaken Saints was like a legendary paradise, a holy land for cultivation. However, in terms of scenery, the Tian Yuan continent was like a paradise on earth. A few of the famous mountains and rivers on the Tian Yuan continent were so beautiful that no place in the world of Forsaken Saints could compare to them. To the east of the world of Forsaken Saints was a tremendous mountain range that was only second to the world mountains. All the precipitous peaks of the mountain range seemed to have been flattened by a sharp sword. Majestic castles and halls had been built on them. Especially in the center of these ancient palaces, there was a huge divine palace that was over 100,000 meters in length and width, and several thousand meters in height. The entire divine palace seemed to be made of white jade, and it was snow-white all over. Under the illumination of the blood-red sun, it reflected circles of different colors, which was very enchanting. This was the holiest and noblest place in the world of forsaken saints, the Sacred Hall. The Sacred Hall was supreme in the world of forsaken saints because it ruled over the entire world. If the world of forsaken saints was an extremely vast empire, the Sacred Hall would be the imperial palace. The master of the Sacred Hall, the Spirit King, would be the current emperor. He possessed supreme authority and could command the world. At this moment, the white-robed Spirit King sat on a throne with a metal sword on his back in the most sacred hall of the Sacred Hall. Below him, over 40 Origin Realm experts sat on the two sides quietly. Below them were the illusionary souls of several dozen holy emperor at great perfection. Spirit King, the world is pitifully weak. Not even a single holy emperor has appeared. Spirit King, the world lacks origin energy and the energy of the world is thin. The strongest people there are only great perfection holy emperor at our level, and there are only over 1,000 of them. Spirit King, although there is no origin energy in that world, the scenery is extremely beautiful. It's like paradise. I swear that I've never seen such a beautiful world. The several dozen great perfection monarchs all told the Holy Spirit King everything they had learned on the Tian-Yuan continent. They did not hide anything. The Spirit King and the other Origin Realm experts all frowned when they heard that. The strength of the Tian-Yuan continent was far too different from what they had imagined. Spirit King, there's an extremely terrifying icy plain in that world. As soon as I was teleported there, I was frozen by extremely powerful ice. I lost consciousness before I could even struggle, another Holy Spirit Emperor at great perfection politely replied. However, this only caught the attention of the Spirit King and the other Origin Realm expert. There were many places in the world of forsaken saints that could instantly kill a Holy Spirit Emperor at great perfection, so it was not enough to catch their attention. Spirit King, since there is no origin energy in that world, it's impossible for an Origin Realm expert to appear. It looks like it's extremely likely that the Origin Realm expert guarding the seal is a spirit born from the world, because only a spirit like that can continue to cultivate in such a harsh environment, said a returnee. He had lived for several tens of thousands of years, so he was knowledgeable and knew many secrets. He was not someone that the 800-year-old Spirit King could compare to. Elder Mutu is right. The Origin Realm expert must be a spirit born from the world. There aren't many of them. Spirit King, what should we do next? Another returnee elder asked. The Spirit King remained silent for a while before coldly replying, the plan remains the same. Once the tunnel stabilizes, let the 500 guards enter that world. Since the people there don't welcome us, we can only conquer them through force. But the guards are only as strong as the Holy Spirit Emperor. They won't be able to stop the Origin Realm expert, another returnee elder said with some worry. The Spirit King remained emotionless. The metal sword on his back produced a clear thrum and flew into his hand as a dark streak of light. The Spirit King gently rubbed the sword and said, "Let my Cloudstream sword deal with the Origin Realm expert. I'll leave a portion of my power in the sword. Although it won't be able to unleash my full strength, it'll be more than enough to keep the Origin Realm expert busy." In the sea region, in the territory of the Sea Goddess Hall, a huge divine hall stood in the main camp of the Tao family. With the divine hall as the center, many new houses had been built around it. Some of the ordinary clansmen of the Tao family's alliance lived there. Ever since the alliance of the Tao family had experienced an intense battle with the Turtle clan, they had always kept the divine hall outside. All the important people of the alliance, as well as the saint kings of the alliance, resided in the divine hall to prevent the ruler of the Turtle clan from leading a group of experts to suddenly attack them. Although the alliance of the Tao family had suffered heavy losses in the battle last time, where several holy emperors had died and the violent shockwaves had even damaged the foundation of the Tao family did not weaken at all. Instead, they had become even more powerful. This was because Tao Jingtian had used this opportunity to completely control the various clans of the Alliance. He possessed a divine hall that could only be destroyed by emperors. The holy emperors of the Alliance were worried about the revenge of the Turtle Clan, so they could only join the Tao family to protect themselves. At this moment, Tao Jingtian sat at the very front of the divine hall while the holy emperors of the Alliance sat below him in an orderly manner. Although they were very reluctant to see their relationship with the Tao family go from being allies to being subordinates, there was nothing they could do. The strength of the Turtle Clan has exceeded all of our imaginations. We may have a divine hall, so the Turtle Clan can't do anything to us, but at the same time, we have a divine hall as well. The Turtle Clan also has a divine hall, so there's nothing we can do about them. The enmity between our alliance and the Turtle Clan is so deep that it's impossible to resolve it. Only one of us can continue to exist. According to my understanding, the ruler of the Turtle Clan possesses unprecedented talent. His strength increases extremely quickly, going from the 15th star to the 16th star in just a few short years. He's even at the peak of the 16th star. If this continues, the ruler of the Turtle Clan will probably become an emperor before long, Tao Jingtian said with a heavy voice. He was extremely stern. The holy emperors below were surprised. Someone immediately questioned, Patriarch Tao, becoming an emperor isn't so easy. Aren't you overestimating him a little too much by saying that the ruler of the Turtle Clan will become an emperor? That's right. Patriarch Tao, the ruler of the Turtle Clan, does have some ability. I believe he can become an elder of the Divine Hall, but I don't believe he can become an emperor. The holy emperors all voiced their doubts. Tao Jingtian slowly said, Who knows what will happen in the future? I've specially investigated the ruler of the Turtle Clan. According to what I know, the ruler of the Turtle Clan was not even at the 14th star a few years ago. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan was slain by the 5 magical beasts and the 8 human experts because he wanted to protect the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Only a short amount of time has passed, yet the ruler of the Turtle Clan has already become a 16th star expert. This speed is unbelievable. The old man really had no idea what heavenly resource could increase his strength to such a level in such a short amount of time. As a result, the old man has concluded that the ruler of the Turtle Clan possesses shocking talent and tremendous potential. If he is allowed to mature successfully, he will definitely become an emperor in the future. At that time, we won't be able to escape death even with the Divine Hall. The faces of the holy emperors all became ugly. Their hearts all became extremely heavy. Tao Jingtian continued, As a result, we need to kill the ruler of the Turtle Clan before he matures. Patriarch Tao, the Turtle Clan has more experts than us now, and they also have a divine hall. We don't have the power to kill the ruler of the Turtle Clan, a holy emperor bitterly said. Tao Jingtian sinisterly smiled. The old man has his own plans for this. If we succeed, the ruler of the Turtle Clan will be dead for sure. Even with the assistance of the Divine Hall, the outcome will not change. Tao Jingtian immediately announced the end of the meeting before silently leaving the Divine Hall without alerting anyone. He hurried back to the territory of the Serpent God Hall as quickly as he could. At the same time, there were only a few days left before the 2-month deadline in the Xianhuang microcosm. Jianchen and Tai Ta, who had benefited greatly, set off on their return journey in satisfaction. They used the markings they had left behind as a guide and hurried back to the exit of the Xianhuang microcosm as quickly as they could. The Xianhuang microcosm was extremely large. In the past month or so, the two of them had only covered a tenth of it. Even with that being the case, they had still managed to find many heavenly resources and the energy crystals of Class 9 Xianhuang beasts. However, what made Jianchen most excited was not the large amount of heavenly resources he had obtained from the trip to the microcosm this time. Instead, he had found all the materials to forge the azulate swords. The dream that he had been waiting for all these years was finally about to come true. Chapter 13:16. The Xianhuang microcosm was extremely large. Over the past month, the two of them had only explored a tenth of it. Even with that being the case, they had found many heavenly resources and the energy crystals of Class 9 Xianhuang beasts. However, what excited Jianchen the most about this trip was not the large amount of heavenly resources he had obtained. Instead, it was the fact that he had found all the materials to forge the azulate swords. The dream that he had been looking forward to for so many years was finally about to come true. A day later, a holy emperor elder politely walked into the majestic yet extremely quiet divine hall in the central divine hall within the territory of the Serpent God Hall. He politely said to the empty hall, "Hall Master, the ancestor of one of the peak clans in the territory of the Poseidon Hall, Tao Jingtian, wishes to see you. He says he has something important to report to the Hall Master." The Tao family in the territory of the Poseidon Hall? In this spacious hall, a low voice sounded out of nowhere. The voice came from all directions, and it was impossible to find the source of the voice. "Esteemed Hall Master, it is the Tao family in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. Tao Jingtian is currently outside the Divine Hall and wishes to see the Hall Master," the elder politely replied. The Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall pondered for a while before saying, "Not long ago, the Turtle Clan and the Tao family engaged in an intense battle. The Tao family suffered heavy losses, so I already know why Tao Jingtian has come. Let him in." "Yes, sir." The Holy Emperor Elder of the Poseidon Hall bowed and retreated. Before long, the patriarch of the Tao family, Tao Jingtian, arrived in the majestic hall under the lead of the elder. Tao Jingtian immediately dismissed his arrogance as soon as he arrived. He lowered his head slightly and became respectful. He did not even dare to breathe too loudly. He did not even dare to look around. "Esteemed Hall Master, Tao Jingtian is here," the elder politely replied. "You are dismissed." "Yes, Hall Master." Only Tao Jingtian remained in the extremely spacious hall after the elder left. He immediately bowed towards the empty throne before him and politely said, "Tao Jingtian greets the esteemed Hall Master." The Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall did not appear, but his deep voice boomed through the hall, "Tao Jingtian, I know why you've come. You want me to help you deal with Jianchen." The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's voice seemed to contain endless pressure. Tao Jingtian immediately felt like his soul was about to be crushed by the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple's voice. This immediately terrified Tao Jingtian, and his respect for the Hall Master of Dragon God Temple became even more intense. The esteemed Hall Master is extremely wise, actually being able to understand why I've come. The Hall Master is correct. I have indeed come this time in hopes that the Hall Master can act righteously and eliminate the threat that is the ruler of the Turtle Clan so that my Tao family can be saved, Tao Jingtian said humbly. He did not possess the presence of the patriarch of the Tao family at all. Your Tao family is an organization that belongs to Hall Poseidon's territory. It has nothing to do with our Serpent God Hall, so why should I save your Tao family? The Hall Master of Dragon God Temple growled. Tao Jingtian immediately dropped to one knee and politely replied, "Esteemed Hall Master, the enmity between our Tao family and the ruler of the Turtle Clan is as deep as the ocean. It's impossible to resolve it. In the end, only one of us can continue to exist. However, the ruler of the Turtle Clan has an unknown relationship with Hall Master Poseidon, so it's impossible for Hall Master Poseidon to protect our Tao family. Across the entire sea realm, only the Hall Master can save our Tao family, so please protect our Tao family." Tao Jingtian paused before continuing, "Not only does the ruler of the Turtle Clan, Jianchen, have extremely deep enmity with our Tao family, but he has never taken the sacred Serpent God Hall seriously either. Back then, The arrogant ruler of the Turtle Clan used the 8 Wastelands Divine Hall to challenge the dignity of the Serpent God Hall. His crime is unforgivable, and even cutting him to pieces is not enough to make up for it. It's just that the ruler of the Turtle Clan possesses unprecedented talent. His rate of growth is just far too fast. In just a few short years, his strength has increased from the 14th star to the 16th star at an unbelievable speed, and he's even at the peak of the 16th star. If he has a little more time, the ruler of the Turtle Clan might even become in existence at the level of emperors. At that time, not only will he destroy our Tau family, but he'll probably cause even more trouble in the Serpent God Hall fearlessly, causing endless problems for the esteemed Hall Master. The Hall Master of the Dragon God Temple fell silent after hearing Tao Jingtian's analysis. Only after quite a while did he reply, "That does make some sense. Jianshan's talent is indeed very great. His rate of growth is so fast that even I am astounded. In the future, he might really become an emperor." Tao Jingtian rejoiced inside. He knew that the Hall Master of the Turtle Clan had become slightly interested, so he struck while the iron was still hot. He sternly said, "Esteemed Hall Master, we can't let the ruler of the Turtle Clan become an emperor because he belongs to the territory of the Poseidon Hall in the first place. At the same time, he has a special relationship with the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall. If he becomes an emperor, then the strength of the hall will skyrocket. At that time, the situation of the entire sea realm will probably change drastically, which will be extremely disadvantageous to you. As a result, the ruler of the Turtle Clan must be eliminated as soon as possible." This time, the Hall Master of the Dragon God Temple remained silent for quite a while. He seemed to have sensed the threat that the ruler of the Turtle Clan posed to him. Right now, the sea realm was divided into 3 factions. Each territory was ruled by an emperor, so they kept each other in check. If the Hall of the Poseidon Hall gained another holy emperor, the current situation of the sea realm would definitely change. After quite a while, the Hall Master of the Dragon God Temple finally spoke. "Tao Jingtian, the 3 of us have a treaty that forbids us from invading the territories of others. At the same time, that little girl Yadrium became an emperor slightly later than the emperor, but her strength is unfathomable. She's very difficult to deal with, so it's not good for me to cross the boundary and kill the ruler of the Turtle Clan. You'll be responsible for drawing the ruler of the Turtle Clan to the territory of the Serpent God Hall. As soon as he sets foot in the territory of the Serpent God Hall, I'll be able to kill him fearlessly. At that time, even Yadrium won't be able to say anything." Chapter 13-17. Basically all the experts of the Holy Emperor on the Tian Yuan continent had gathered in Mercenary City. Only a few saint rulers could temporarily remain uninvolved because the threat from the world of Forsaken Saints required the strength of a holy emperor at the very least. As for saint rulers, they were no different from cannon fodder before a group of Holy Emperor or Holy Emperor experts. Although there were many more saint rulers on the Tian Yuan continent compared to the Holy Emperor, their numbers were extremely limited. Unless they were at their wits' end, they would not let saint rulers die for nothing because they were the future of the Tian Yuan continent. At this moment, over 30 people of various ages had gathered in the ancestral hall of the Changyang Prefecture. They were all saint rulers. There were even a few people who had reached the 9th heavenly layer of saint ruler. They were only a step away from the Holy Emperor. A dignified 9th heavenly layer saint ruler old man said, "Everyone, I've gathered you here today to discuss an important matter. Not only does this matter affect the dignity of our protector clan in the Changyang Prefecture, but it also affects the dignity and status of our protector clan in the Changyang Prefecture." The old man who spoke was Changyang Qingyi. He was the person with the greatest status in the Qing branch aside from the respected great elders. This was not only because he was a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler, but also because of his shocking talent. Changyang Qing was one of the few people who had grasped a saint-tier battle skill as a saint ruler. At the same time, he basically had half a foot in the Holy Emperor's realm. He would become the fourth great elder of the Qing branch soon. The saint rulers of the Qing and Yuan branches said nothing. They all looked at Changyang Qing. Now that the great elders of the Changyang prefecture were not present, Changyang Qing had vaguely become the pillar of support. Changyang Qing paused. He looked around and became extremely stern. I think some people have already guessed what I'm going to say next. That's right, I'm going to talk about the matter of the Zhou branch breaking away from our protector clan. Since ancient times, the Zhou, Yuan, and Qing branches of the Changyang prefecture have been one family, yet the people of the Zhou branch actually broke away from us for a single saint's fruit. They even colluded with magical beasts to trap our Changyang prefecture in the miniature world. Our Changyang prefecture is one of the 10 protector clans of the continent after all. When have we ever been humiliated like this? As a result, we can't just let this matter go. The respected great elders have gone to Mercenary City for important matters, so they can't leave for now. As a result, we need to personally take action to recover the dignity of our Changyang prefecture. Changyang Qing, do you plan on making trouble for the Changyang prefecture in Lore City? What if we come across the 3 magical beasts again? They're not people we can deal with, another 9th heavenly layer saint ruler old man asked. Changyang Qing smiled mysteriously. That's not right. We're not going to make trouble for the Changyang prefecture in Lore City. Instead, we're going to deal with the internal matters of our clan and reunite the people of the Zhou branch with our protector clan. It won't be that easy for the Zhou branch to break away from our protector clan. There's no need to worry about the 3 magical beasts. According to what I know, basically all the holy emperors on the continent are gathered in Mercenary City. The 3 magical beasts are no exception. Changyang prefecture no longer has a holy emperor watching over it. There are only a few old friends that we know. Changyang Qing is right. We've been sealed in the miniature world for so long, so we can't just swallow our anger and do nothing. Otherwise, people will look down on us, a red-robed man in red said emotionlessly. He was a saint ruler from the Yuan branch, and he had reached the peak of the 8th heavenly layer. The other saint rulers obviously had no objections when they saw that the representatives of the Qing and Yuan branches had agreed. They all agreed to Changyang Qing's suggestion. A few days ago, they were imprisoned in the small world like prisoners, which made all of them have a belly full of anger in their hearts. What they lacked was only a leader. Lore City and Changyang prefecture in the kingdom of Jessen remained as peaceful as before. However, a few hermit clans or ancient clans would visit them from time to time. Because of Changyang prefecture, even the status of the kingdom of Jessen on the continent had increased. It had developed from an unknown kingdom to a kingdom that was even more renowned than the 8 great nations. Although the strength of the kingdom of Jessen did not increase by leaps and bounds, its status could not be mentioned in the same breath. Suddenly, the space above the Changyang clan began to violently distort. A space gate rapidly formed, and before the person had even emerged, a tremendous presence surged out like a tsunami. It permeated the entire region of space and enveloped the entire city. Afterward, saint rulers swarmed out of the space gate one after another. There were over 30 of them, and they all hovered in the air, crushing Changyang prefecture beneath their feet. These people were the saint rulers of the Yuan and Qing branches, who had hurried over from the protector clan of Changyang prefecture. They had come through the space gates in their clans, so there was no need for the holy emperor to do anything. Everyone in the city sensed the arrival of over 30 saint rulers because their presences were just too powerful. They had even eclipsed the presences of the holy emperor, causing the surroundings to churn and the energy of the world to become violent. It alarmed everyone in the city. Over a dozen saint rulers sensed that the newcomers had ill intentions in the forbidden grounds of Changyang prefecture, so they rose into the air as soon as possible. all the saint rulers of the Zhu branch, who had been cultivating in seclusion, moved out, facing off against the Yuan and Qing branches in the air. They all glared at the newcomers. "So it's you. What are you doing here?" A ninth heavenly layer old man among the saint rulers of the Zhu branch growled. Their Zhu branch had already fallen out with the Yuan and Qing branches long ago. They no longer interacted with each other. Changyang Qing coldly smiled. The Changyang prefecture of Lore City has always been a branch of our protector clan, so we can obviously come and go as we please. Why do we need a reason? Nonsense. The Changyang prefecture of Lore City was founded by my master, Changyang Zhu Yunkong. Now that my master is no longer a member of the Protector clan, the Changyang prefecture of Lore City obviously has nothing to do with your Protector clan. Chang Bo flew up from below in the guise of a caretaker and said forcefully. Chapter 13:18. Humph, since when do you, a servant, have the right to tell us what to do? Chang Wuji, do you really think that you have the right to stand on the same level as us just because you've become a saint ruler? A saint ruler from the Yuan branch coldly glared at Chang Wuji. Chang Wuji, don't forget your status. You were only a dog that we adopted back then. If a dog dares to bite its master, the master can kill the dog at any time. A saint ruler from the Yuan branch coldly called out. He spoke coldly. He looked at Chang Wuji like he was looking at a servant. They were all direct descendants of the Protector clan in Changyang Prefecture, so they were born with a sense of superiority and pride. Chang Wuji was born with a lowly background, so even though he had become a saint ruler, he was still looked down upon by the saint rulers of the Protector clan. The saint rulers from the Zhu branch all remained emotionless. None of them said anything. They did not have a deep relationship with Chang Wuji, so they did not stand up for him. Below in Changyang Prefecture, the patriarch of the Changyang Prefecture, Changyang Ba, and many other important members of the clan became extremely furious when they saw Chang Bo being insulted. If they had enough strength, they would have charged up and cut the person who insulted Chang Bo to pieces without a doubt. Chang Bo was only a caretaker of Changyang Prefecture, but his status in the clan was extremely great. Not to mention that Chang Bo was now a saint ruler, no longer the heaven saint master of the past. His status had greatly increased. These people have gone too far. They've actually insulted Chang Bo like this. It's a pity that Xiang'er isn't here, or I'd definitely make them suffer today, Changyang Ba said through gritted teeth. His face had already paled from anger. Bai Yuntian, Yu Fengyan, Ling Long and Bai Yushuang beside Changyang Ba were the same. Chang Bo had already been the caretaker of Changyang Prefecture for several hundred years. He took great care of everyone in the clan, managing all the miscellaneous matters in Changyang Prefecture loyally. He had never complained, so Chang Bo's prestige in Changyang Prefecture was unmatched. Everyone loved and respected him. After Chang Bo became a saint ruler, he continued to be a caretaker, basically becoming the first saint ruler caretaker on the continent. He did not change at all because of his increase in strength, so he gained the respect of everyone in the clan. As a result, the people of the Yuan and Qing branches had insulted Chang Bo. This had basically infuriated everyone in Changyang Prefecture. Only a few people from the Zhu branch did not do anything because they were not on good terms with Chang Bo. The saint ruler ancestors of the Zhu branch don't seem to be willing to stand up for Chang Bo. Now that we're outnumbered, I hope Chang Bo will be fine, Bai Yuntian said worriedly. Bai Yuntian said worriedly. She was very worried about Uncle Chang's safety. Although Uncle Chang had become a saint ruler, he was only at the first heavenly layer. A sliver of determination immediately appeared in Changyang Ba's eyes when he heard that. With a flip of his hand, he pulled out 2 fist-sized rocks from his space ring. He gritted his teeth. I have quaking thunders left behind by Xiang'er. Xiang'er said that the quaking thunders have been filled with energy by the Holy Emperor. Although they might not be able to harm the Holy Emperor, they're more than enough to deal with saint rulers. If they dare to harm Changbo, I can only take action. In the sky, Chang Wuji acted like he did not hear the humiliation. He remained composed and said, "That's right. I, Chang Wuji, was indeed picked up by my master on the streets and brought back to the Protector clan. If you want to call me a dog, then my master will only ever be Changyang Zhu Yunkong. I have nothing to do with you people from the Yuan and Qing branches." The saint ruler from the Qing branch became furious when he heard that. He yelled out, "How dare a mere dog speak to us like that? I, Changyang Aoyama, have said that if a dog dares to bite its master can make the dog disappear forever at any time." Changyang Aoyama immediately attacked Chang Wuji. He used his saint ruler abilities and fused with the surrounding space. Using spatial force, he arrived before Chang Wuji in a single moment. Energy surged from his hand as he used a secret technique to condense a small, azure mountain that he threw toward Chang Wuji. The eyes of the saint rulers from the Zhu branch all narrowed when they saw this. They had already recognized that this was Changyang Aoyama's famed technique, the Aoyama's seal. The Aoyama's seal was something Changyang Aoyama had modified from an ancient secret technique. It was not a saint-tier battle skill, but it was not much weaker than the battle skills of the saint's world. Coupled with the fact that Changyang Aoyama was a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler, the first heavenly layer Aoyama's seal would leave Chang Wuji heavily injured even if he managed to survive. A 9th heavenly layer saint ruler from the Zhu branch immediately wanted to stop Changyang Aoyama. Although they were not on good terms with Chang Wuji, they could not just watch him die before them. However, at this moment, the people from the Qing and Yuan branches all moved as if they had already discussed this. They blocked all the saint rulers from the Zhu branch, preventing them from being able to do anything else. Chang Wuji's face changed. He had never thought that Changyang Aoyama would actually attack him so fearlessly. Although he was also a saint ruler, he understood just how great of a difference there was between him and Changyang Aoyama, so he did not take the attack head-on. Instead, he dodged with all his strength. However, at this moment, the surrounding space suddenly froze, binding Chang Wuji to the spot and slowing down his dodging movements. Chang Wuji's heart sank. He immediately bellowed out and a powerful force surged out of his body, shattering the frozen space in a single moment. However, he had already lost the best opportunity to dodge due to the delay. He only managed to cast down a layer of energy around himself before being struck by Aoyama's seal. Bang! The seal of Azure Mountain slammed into Chang Wuji's chest with a muffled explosion. Chang Wuji opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying far away. Chang Bo! Cries rang out from Changyang Prefecture. The patriarch of the Changyang Prefecture, Changyang Ba, was furious. At that moment, extremely powerful killing intent rapidly surged through Changyang Ba's chest, filling it. Without any hesitation, he threw the two 15th star quaking thunders at Changyang Aoyama. At that moment, Changyang Ba cast aside all his worries. He did not even consider the consequences of throwing out the quaking thunders. He only had a single thought in his head, and that was to avenge Chang Bo. Quaking thunders were products of the Sea Realm, but a small portion of them would end up on the Tian Yuan continent. Whether it was the saint rulers of the Zhu branch, Yuan branch, or Qing branch, they all clearly recognized them. Their faces immediately changed as they dodged in all directions, distancing themselves from the quaking thunders as soon as possible. The saint rulers of the Zhu branch all landed in Changyang Prefecture. One of them entered the back courtyard as quickly as possible, and a transparent barrier silently appeared, enveloping the entire Changyang Prefecture. Chapter 13-19. Changyang Ba returned to his senses after throwing the quaking thunders. His expression immediately changed as he cursed inside, because the two quaking thunders he had thrown out were 15th star quaking thunders. They were equivalent to the power of a 5th heavenly layer holy emperor. The attacks of a holy emperor were so terrifying that even if they exploded several hundred meters in the air, the shock waves would be enough to flatten Changyang Prefecture. After all, the Changyang clan was not one of the 7 capital cities of the Tian-Yuan continent, nor was it Flame City. It was only an extremely ordinary residence. It did not have any defenses at all. However, when Changyang Ba saw the transparent barrier that had suddenly appeared in the air above Changyang Prefecture, he finally calmed down slightly. There were still over a dozen saint rulers from the Zhu branch there. If they worked together to cast down a barrier, they might not be able to block the shock waves from the quaking thunders, but they could at least minimize the losses. In the air, the 2 quaking thunders shot toward Changyang Aoyama with extremely powerful ripples of energy. All the saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches fled in a horrible shape. They were all pale in fright because they could tell that the quaking thunders were 15th star quaking thunders. Once they exploded, they would erupt with the might of a first heavenly layer holy emperor at the very least, or even more. The saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches all fled from the quaking thunders as quickly as they could. None of them wanted to come in contact with the quaking thunders, and even Changyang Aoyama was no exception. He quickly retreated with a pale face. He was both shocked and furious inside. He was shocked that a person with mediocre strength in Changyang Prefecture would possess quaking thunders of such a high level, and he was furious because he was an elder of a protector clan in Changyang Prefecture after all. It was unforgivable that someone from a mere branch clan dared to throw quaking thunders at him. However, Changyang Aoyama tossed aside all his thoughts very soon. His eyes became filled with fear, because he discovered that the 2 15th star quaking thunders had already locked onto his presence, and were following him the entire time. It was useless no matter how he tried to flee. At the same time, the energy within the quaking thunders was constantly being activated. However, its speed was also getting faster and faster. No! Changyang Aoyama cried out in fear. His face paled from fright. Even if he managed to survive a single 15th star quaking thunder, he would be half dead. If he had to endure 2 quaking thunders at the same time, it was extremely likely for him to die. Suddenly, Changyang Aoyama changed directions and flew in the direction of the most people as quickly as he could. The 2 quaking thunders shone with bright white light as they tailed behind him with terrifying pulses of energy. They moved faster and faster. Changyang Aoyama, you bastard, don't follow us. Run in another direction. God damn it, Changyang Aoyama, we've never offended you. Don't lead us over. The saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches were both surprised and furious. They cursed Changyang Aoyama's ancestors inside as they fled in all directions. Changyang Aoyama was filled with bitterness. He had only taught a disrespectful servant a lesson, yet he had never thought that he would be chased by 2 15th star quaking thunders. If he had known earlier that this would happen, he would not have dared to touch Chang Wuji no matter how bold he was. My presence has been locked onto by the quaking thunders. I can't shake them off. If you don't help me block them for a while, I'll probably die here today, Changyang Aoyama called out. Changyang Qingshan called out. At the same time, he secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, the person who had thrown out the quaking thunder was not powerful, so the quaking thunder was not fast at first, which was why he had been able to flee for so long from the quaking thunder. However, as the quaking thunder's energy was constantly activated, their speed would multiply. At that time, let alone a mere saint ruler like him, even the Holy Emperor would not be able to outrun the quaking thunders. Changyang Qingyi paused and called out, "Everyone, don't panic. We have over 30 saint rulers, so we can still block the 2 quaking thunders if we work together. Everyone gather around me immediately." Everyone's eyes immediately lit up with that. If any one of them had to block the quaking thunders, it would indeed be extremely dangerous, but if they all worked together, the 2 15th star quaking thunders would not be so terrifying. Almost at the same time, all the saint rulers began to gather around Changyang Qingyi. They all worked together to create a powerful barrier of energy. Afterward, Changyang Aoyama charged over with the two 15th star Quaking Thunders. The Quaking Thunders collided with the barriers created by the saint rulers of the Yuan and Qing branches and exploded at the same time. With a deafening sound, violent streams of energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing space to distort and the sky to crack. A powerful ripple of energy charged toward Changyang Prefecture below, but it was blocked by Changyang Zhuzhao's barrier, so Changyang Prefecture remained unscathed. The faces of all the saint rulers from the Yuan and Qing branches changed. They immediately became rather pale, and the energy barrier they had cast down together collapsed. All of them cast down another layer of energy as soon as possible before being knocked back by the powerful shock waves from the Quaking Thunders. Changyang Aoyama was the most miserable. The Quaking Thunders had locked onto his presence, so he had to endure the most powerful attack. Blood sprayed from his mouth as he was blown away like a broken kite. He constantly vomited blood. Although he had managed to survive, he was extremely heavily injured. The ripple of energy from the two Quaking Thunders was very large. Most of Lore City was affected, causing countless buildings to collapse. The entire city was reduced to a mess and many people were injured. Fortunately, many people in Lore City knew about what had happened in Changyang Prefecture, so they were prepared. As a result, no one died. A while later, the ripple of energy from the Quaking Thunders finally settled down. Everyone in Changyang Prefecture stood there unscathed. The saint rulers of the Qing and Yuan branches gathered in the air above Changyang Prefecture again. All of them were covered in dust and in horrible shape. As for Changyang Aoyama, he no longer had the power to hover in the air due to his heavy injuries. He was supported by two saint rulers from the Qing branch. All of their faces were pale white. They had mobilized so many people just to protect their clans and regain their dignity, to vent their frustrations from being sealed up for so long, as well as to allow the people of the Zhu branch to return to Changyang Prefecture. However, they had never thought that they would end up worse off. Changyang Ba finally let out a sigh of relief when he saw that Changyang Prefecture was unscathed. With a flip of his hand, he pulled out another two Quaking Thunders from his space ring. He angrily yelled at the people in the sky, "I still have quite a few Quaking Thunders. The two from before were at the 15th star. I have a 16th star one right now. If you dare to act recklessly again, don't blame me for being rude." Not only did they insult Chang Bo, they even injured Chang Bo. "We can't let them off so easily today," Bai Yuntian angrily said. Bai Yuntian said furiously. He also took out two Quaking Thunders from his space ring. They were also 16-star Quaking Thunders. In the past, Jianshan had obtained quite a few 15th and 16th star Quaking Thunders from the Sea Realm. He had even obtained a few peak 16th star Quaking Thunders. He had basically left all of them to his family. The people from the Qing and Yuan branches all revealed extremely ugly expressions when they saw the four 16th star Quaking Thunders in Changyang Ba and Bai Yuntian's hands. Even the saint rulers from the Zhu branch felt their scalps tingle as their hearts leapt. 16th star Quaking Thunders were extremely rare even in the Sea Realm, so why were there so many here? The saint rulers from the Qing and Yuan branches all felt rather embarrassed. It was definitely unprecedented for a mighty protector clan to be threatened by a mere branch clan. If this matter were to spread, they would no longer be able to show their faces in the future. Changyang Qingyi's face became terrifyingly sunken. He coldly stared at the people below and coldly said, "You've injured an elder of our Qing branch. This matter definitely won't end here. If we can't deal with you, there'll obviously be someone who can." With that, Changyang Qingyi formed a seal with both hands and used a secret technique to send a message to Changyang Qingyun. Chapter 1320. Many Holy Emperor experts and several other Holy Emperor experts gathered in the air above the ruins of Mercenary City. They paid close attention to the changes in the tunnel beneath Mercenary City. Not far away, Dozens of divine palaces floated in the air, exuding a majestic aura. Mercenary City, the 10 guardian families, and some powerful ancient families all moved out of their divine palaces and rested in them, conserving their energy and adjusting themselves to their peak condition. None of them knew when the next wave of attacks from the foreign world would come, but all of them knew that the next wave would definitely be even more terrifying. There might even be Holy Emperor experts who would descend. This made all of them feel extremely heavy. They did not even have the mood to enter the miniature world of Mercenary City to rest because all of them were worried. Although not all of the Holy Emperor experts were selfless, they all understood that the world of Forsaken Saints was just too powerful. If they could not stop them in the world of Forsaken Saints, the 4 races of the world would be in danger of being wiped out. At that time, they would not be able to escape death either. As a result, many Holy Emperor experts had gathered here to guard the tunnel. They were not doing it for their own race, nor were they doing it for their descendant. They were doing it so that they could continue living. Changyang Qing Yun, Changyang Qing Juri, Changyang Qing Yunfeng, Changyang Yuan Zhenghua, and Changyang Yuan Wuji all sat in one of the divine halls in the sky. They moved like statues. Suddenly, Changyang Qing Yun's face changed. He abruptly opened his eyes and 2 bolts of lightning shot out. They shook the space there and caused it to slightly distort. The other 4 great elders opened their eyes at the same time. Although they were cultivating, they were constantly paying attention to the outside world, so they obviously noticed Changyang Qing Yun's change. Changyang Qing Yun stood up. His face was terrifyingly sunken as he said, Changyang Aoyama has been injured. The saint rulers of our Qing and Yuan branches have been humiliated by the branch from Lore City. This branch has gone too far. Do they really think that they can trample over our protector clans fearlessly just because they have the support of the 3 magical beasts? Changyang Qing Yun looked at the other 4 great elders and said with a deep voice, Everyone, let's go to Lore City in the kingdom of Jessen immediately. Changyang Qing Yun immediately stowed the divine hall away before leaving with the other 4 Holy Emperor. Their departure alarmed everyone present, but no one stopped them because none of the Holy Emperor gathered there had the right to interfere with the matters of others. At the same time, Changyang Zhu Xiao, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao, and Changyang Zhu Yeyun sat in another divine hall. Suddenly, Changyang Zhu Xiao slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was deep as he stared in the direction that Changyang Qing Yun and the others had left. He slowly said, The people in the clan have sent news that the people of the Qing and Yuan branches have caused some trouble in Lore City. Changyang Qing Yun and the others have just left as well. They must have gone to Lore City. Let's go back and take a look. I've cast down a barrier to protect the clan, but it won't stop Changyang Qing Yun. Lore City was over 1,000,000 kilometers away from Mercenary City, but Saint Kings only needed to take a single step to traverse such a distance. Soon after Changyang Qing Yi sent the message, a space gate cracked open nearby. Before he had even emerged, a vast and boundless presence surged out from the space gate, causing the space there to freeze. Even the energy of the world had come to a standstill. Afterward, the 5 great elders of the Qing and Yuan branches all emerged from the space gate with Changyang Qing Yun in the lead. When they saw the saint rulers of the 2 branches in horrible conditions, their faces immediately sank. Sharp killing intent filled their eyes. Afterward, they looked at Changyang Aoyama, who was covered in blood and was basically hanging from 2 saint rulers. They became even more furious. How dare a mere branch injure the elders of my Qing branch? How dare you? Changyang Qing Yunfeng immediately became furious. He bellowed out as energy surged around him. He was about to go crazy. Changyang Qing Yun arrived beside Changyang Aoyama in a flash. After carefully inspecting Qing Shan's injuries, his expression became even more unsightly. He said in a deep voice, Qing Shan's injuries are very serious. He is almost half dead. Even with the use of sacred healing medicine, he will need to recuperate for several years to recover. This branch is becoming bolder and bolder. A few days ago, that bastard Jianshan colluded with outsiders to seal up our Changyang prefecture. In the end, it was all thanks to the Grand Elder of Mercenary City that we were able to see the light of day again. Today, the people of this branch have actually injured Aoyama to such a degree. This is unforgivable. I will flatten this place today, Changyang Qingjuri coldly said. Changyang Qingjuri coldly said. Heavy killing intent filled his eyes as he looked at the people from the Changyang clan in Lore City. He then sent a palm strike toward the estate below. Changyang Qingjuri's palm strike had gathered a tremendous amount of energy in the surroundings. The energy of the world wildly gathered toward his hand, condensing into a huge hand that was several hundred meters wide in the end. It pressed down at an extremely fast speed. All the people from the Changyang clan in Lore City became rather pale. As the energy palm pressed down, all of them felt a great pressure crush down from above, making it difficult for them to breathe. Their chests felt abnormally heavy. A saint ruler from the Zhu branch immediately activated a barrier in the forbidden grounds of Changyang Prefecture. A transparent barrier silently appeared and blocked Changyang Qingjuri's strike. The barrier did not budge and shone with a hazy light. Changyang Qingjuri's strike did not cause the barrier to tremble at all. Changyang Qingyun snorted coldly. He took a step forward and appeared before the barrier as if he had teleported. He coldly said, "I never thought that Changyang Zhu Shao would place so much importance on this estate. He's actually cast down such a powerful barrier to protect this place. Looks like he's truly reached great perfection. However, a mere barrier won't be able to stop me. Let me break through this barrier." Heavy killing intent filled Changyang Qingyun's face. He hated Changyang Zhu Shao very much. If Changyang Zhu Shao had not stopped him back in the miniature world of Changyang Prefecture, he would have obtained the saint's fruit long ago and probably become a holy emperor by now. Jianshan obviously would not have been able to escape, nor would he have been sealed up by the three magical beasts. Now, Changyang Qingyun had made up his mind to destroy the estate to vent his anger. He did not fear the three magical beasts at such a sensitive time because someone would come to stop them. Just when Changyang Qingyun wanted to take action, another space gate suddenly ripped open nearby. Changyang Zhu Shao, Changyang Zhu Yunshao, and Changyang Zhu Yun hurried over from Mercenary City. Chapter 1321. Changyang Zhu Shao stood in front of Changyang Qingyun. Changyang Qingyun's face immediately paled. His face sunk as he glared at Changyang Zhu Shao. He had never thought that Changyang Zhu Shao would arrive so quickly. Now that Changyang Zhu Shao was standing in his way, it would not be easy for him to viciously punish the people from the branch clan. Good. Changyang Zhu Shao, your people from the Zhu branch are becoming bolder and bolder. You're becoming more and more fearless. First, you betrayed us from the protector clan of Changyang Prefecture, then you worked with outsiders to trap us in Changyang Prefecture. Now, you've even allowed the people from the Zhu branch to injure an elder of our Qing branch, heavily injuring Changyang Aoyama. Do you really think that you can act so arrogantly just because you have the support of magical beasts? You've challenged the dignity of our protector clan time and time again, Changyang Qingyun coldly said. Changyang Qingyun coldly said. With that, a tremendous presence radiated from his body, forming an invisible mountain that crushed down on Changyang Zhu Shao. He seemed like he was about to engage in a great battle with Changyang Zhu Shao. Changyang Zhu Shao's expression remained the same as before. He remained as still as a mountain, standing firmly in the surroundings like a pine tree. He had truly reached great perfection now, reaching the peak of the Holy Emperor's cultivation. He was at the same level as Changyang Qingyun. Qingyun, everyone knows what happened, so stop trying to confuse people. You asked for everything that happened before. If it weren't for the fact that you wanted the saint's fruit and wanted to do something that would infuriate everyone, what would have happened? What happened afterwards would not have happened. As for Changyang Aoyama's injuries, I'd like to ask you why your people from the Qing and Yuan branches have appeared here, Changyang Zhu Shao said expressionlessly. Changyang Zhu Shao said emotionlessly. He was even more disappointed in the people from the Qing and Yuan branches now. Great Elder, the reason why we've appeared here is because we want the people from the Zhu branch to return to the protector clan of Changyang Prefecture. Although we're split into 3 branches, we've always been one family. If we split up like this, it would be a heavy blow to the clan. Everyone in our generation would be condemned for eternity. How would we face our ancestors in the future? We just never thought that we would be provoked by a mere servant as soon as we arrived here, and the people from the branch used quaking thunders to heavily injure Aoyama. If we hadn't interfered, we probably wouldn't be able to see Aoyama again, Changyang Zhu Shao said. Changyang Qingyi said. He spoke righteously at the beginning, but when he mentioned Changyang Qing Shan, his voice immediately became sorrowful. He loudly criticized the people from the branch. Nonsense. You were the ones who injured Chang Bo first. Changyang Ba loudly scolded. He was filled with energy. Although the great elders of the Qing and Yuan branches were present, he was not afraid at all. At this moment, Chang Wuji staggered over from afar. He was covered in blood and his face was pale. He was injured as well, almost falling out of the sky many times. Chang Bo! A group of people in Changyang Prefecture cried out. They were all sorrowful and excited. They were sorrowful over Chang Bo's injuries and excited over the fact that Chang Bo was still alive. Changyang Zhu Shao waved his hand and a vast amount of energy in the surroundings immediately gathered. It gently wrapped around Chang Wuji and sent him into the residence. He gently said, "Heal up first. With me here, no one will be able to harm anyone here." Changyang Zhu Shao spoke very softly, but he was filled with a sense of dominance. It caused Changyang Qing Yun's face to become extremely ugly. Uncle Chang politely bowed to Changyang Zhu Shao before immediately sitting down to heal. Beside him was Changyang Zhu Shao. Bai Yuntian had already begun to use Radiant Saint technique. However, her level as a Radiant Saint Master was not very high, so it was not very effective against a Saint ruler like Chang Bo. Changyang Ba also took out a large number of Radiant Spirit pills from his space ring and fed them to Chang Bo immediately. Chang Bo became enveloped by dense Radiant Saint force. These were all Class 6 Radiant Spirit pills. Jianshan had created a large box of them back then and had given them all to his family. No matter what, you've already injured Changyang Aoyama. Changyang Zhu Shao, you must give me an explanation today, or I swear that I won't let this matter go, Changyang Qing Yun coldly said. Changyang Qing Yun coldly replied. He would not back down in this matter. The protector Changyang clan had already lost a great deal of face, so they could not allow this to continue. Otherwise, they would no longer be able to raise their heads before the various organizations in the future. Changyang Qingyun, I don't fear you. The Holy Emperor may outnumber us, but if we fight, we'll end up in a life and death struggle. It's best if you leave and don't come here again in the future, Changyang Zhu Shao calmly said. Changyang Zhu Shao nonchalantly said. However, his nonchalant tone was extremely irritating to Changyang Qingyun's ears. Not only was it a threat, but it was also a form of disdain. Changyang Qingyun's hair fluttered in anger. He was like an enraged lion as he laughed aloud. Life and death struggle? Changyang Zhu Shao, you overestimate your Zhu branch far too much. Today, I'll show you just how easily we'll defeat the people of your Zhu branch. After laughing aloud, Changyang Qingyun immediately created a space gate and left. Several Emperor armaments were stabbed into the ground in Mercenary City. Although they were all in different shapes, every single one of them radiated with a pressuring presence, enough to make the Holy Emperor experts shiver inside. These Emperor armaments were all treasures of the Protector clans. They were not afraid of being taken away by others since no one else could control the emperor armaments other than their own clans. Changyang Qingyun returned to Mercenary City and used his divine might. He used a secret technique to pull out the emperor armament that belonged to Changyang Prefecture before creating a space gate and leaving. This surprised all the Holy Emperor experts present and caused them to rush over. What's Changyang Qingyun doing? Has something big happened since he's in such a hurry? The Grand Elder of Mercenary City murmured in doubt. Many people thought the same thing. At the same time, Changyang Zhu Yunkong sat in the center of a mountain in a barren mountain range. The energy around him pulsed. It was pure and powerful, causing the surrounding space to gently tremble. Changyang Zhu Yunkong's figure constantly distorted, flickering in and out of existence in the center of the mountain range. This was definitely not an illusion created by the surrounding space. Instead, his body had truly fused with space, becoming one with it. Chapter 1322. Changyang Zhu Yunkong's talent was extremely great. Back on Three Saint Island, the great elders of Changyang Prefecture had worked together to seal his talent, preventing him from reaching sainthood for the rest of his life. Even with that being the case, Changyang Zhu Yunkong had reached sainthood many times when he could not control it. The seal in his head would have come into conflict with him, causing him to suffer great torment. If it were not for the heavenly enchantress' unparalleled attainments in the way of the zither, which allowed her to control Changyang Zhu Yunkong and make him fall into a slumber, Changyang Zhu Yunkong probably would have died long ago. Afterwards, the seal in Changyang Zhu Yunkong's head was unsealed because of Jianchen. With his talent, his cultivation immediately skyrocketed. Coupled with Xiao Ling's assistance, he personally demonstrated the mysteries of the world to Changyang Zhu Yunkong in the clearest manner possible. In the end, Changyang Zhu Yunkong's strength skyrocketed, growing at an unbelievable rate. In just a few short years, he had reached the peak of Saint Ruler. Changyang Zhu Yunkong sat in the cave like an old monk in meditation. He was emotionless and his face was calm. The distorted space around him became more and more unstable, rippling like water. Powerful energy pulsed from time to time from within Changyang Zhu Yunkong's body, causing web-like cracks to appear on the ground. At that moment, not only did Changyang Zhu Yunkong's comprehension of the mysteries of the world rapidly deepen, undergoing the final leap, but even the energy within him rapidly increased, becoming stronger and purer. Suddenly, the distorted space around Changyang Zhu Yunkong calmed down. Even the energy within him stabilized. At that moment, everything was calm and the world was clear. The surroundings silently fell silent, as if everything in the world had fallen silent at that moment. It also seemed like time had stopped, and the energy of the world had stopped flowing. This strange sight only lasted for a short while. Suddenly, a tremendous presence radiated from Changyang Zhu Yunkong. It swept through the surroundings like a storm, permeating the entire mountain range. At the same time, an extremely tremendous amount of energy erupted from Changyang Zhu Yunkong. Like a flood, it surged in all directions like a tidal wave. Boom! The mountain where Changyang Zhu Yunkong was cultivating suddenly exploded, turning into rubble that shot out in all directions. He remained at his original height, seated in the air. The tremendous energy erupted from his body uncontrollably, wreaking havoc in the surroundings. In an instant, the originally calm sky suddenly surged with wind and clouds. Boundless energy transformed into a torrent that soared into the sky, shattering the clouds in the sky. Not long after, an auspicious cloud silently appeared high up in the sky. It flickered with multicolored light and emitted a gorgeous glow that enveloped the entire sky. The rainbow clouds silently expanded in all directions, covering a radius of several 100,000 kilometers. All the saint rulers became envious and yearning. This was the sign of someone breaking through to Holy Emperor from the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Not only would becoming a Holy Emperor greatly increase in strength and allow one to stand at the apex of the Tian Yuan continent, it would also increase one's lifespan. Saint rulers only had a lifespan of 3,000 years. Even if they consumed heavenly resources, they would only be able to live for another 200 years. However, becoming a holy emperor would directly increase one's lifespan from 3,000 years to 6,000 years. Huang Tianba and Yang Ling both emerged from seclusion in 2 other places in the mountain range. They raised their heads and looked at the sky. Changyang Zhu Yunkong's talent really is terrifying. A few years ago, he was nowhere near as strong as me, yet he's become a holy emperor before me now, Huang Tianba murmured. He sighed emotionally as a faint smile appeared on his face. He felt proud that Changyang Zhu Yunkong had become a holy emperor. I need to work hard as well. Although my talent is not as great as Changyang Zhu Yunkong's, I can't fall too far behind him, or it would be far too embarrassing, Huang Tianba continued. He was also at the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Ruler right now. He was only a step away from breaking through. On the other side, Yang Ling stared at the rainbow clouds in the sky with mixed feelings. He could still clearly remember that when he cultivated under Mercenary City with Changyang Zhu Yunkong, Changyang Zhu Yunkong was only a first heavenly layer Saint Ruler. Yet now, Changyang Zhu Yunkong had already become a holy emperor after such a short period of time. On the other hand, Changyang Zhu Yunkong's strength had not increased at all. He remained at the 6th cycle of Heaven Saint Master. My talent is just too lacking. The young master has given me such a great fortune, yet I still haven't become a Saint Ruler. I've really let the young master down. I, Yang Ling, am not fated to become a holy emperor. Yang Ling gently sighed. He was rather dejected. As a fighter, who did not wish to become stronger and stronger, the place where Changyang Zhu Yunkong had become a holy emperor was only several tens of thousand kilometers away from Mercenary City, so the rainbow clouds naturally enveloped the city as well. However, there were already over 2,000 holy emperors gathered there, including several holy emperors. A person who had just become a holy emperor obviously would not attract too much attention. Many people in Changyang Prefecture let out a sigh of relief with Changyang Qingyun's sudden departure. Those who did not know the situation even thought that Changyang Qingyun had retreated. They all secretly praised Changyang Zhu Zhao's bravery, making an enemy retreat as soon as he arrived. Only Changyang Zhu Xiao and Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's faces became very ugly. They had already thought of a few things from what Changyang Qingyun had said before he left. Before they could think too much about it, the space gate opened again and Changyang Qingyun returned very quickly. He descended with an emperor armament that was around 20 to 30 meters long. As soon as the emperor armament appeared, it immediately radiated with a supreme might. It surged through the surroundings, causing everyone to shiver in fear. The emperor armament soared through the air. Before it had even displayed its might, it had already caused the surrounding space to ripple, as if it could shatter at any time. Changyang Qingyun stood on the hilt of the emperor armament and hugged it tightly with his arms. His hair danced in the wind as his clothes ruffled. A vast and boundless energy pulsed from him. He was using all his strength to stabilize the emperor armament. Changyang Qingjuri, Changyang Qinyunfeng, Changyang Yuan Wuji, and Changyang Yuan Jinghua all charged toward the emperor armament at the same time. They worked together with Changyang Qinyun to control it. The ancestral armaments of the 10 protector clans were just too powerful. Even the holy emperor at great perfection would struggle to control them all by himself. It required several people to work together. Changyang Zhu Xiao, I'd like to see just how you'll stop the emperor armament now. Your Zhu branch doesn't have the ability to fight to the death. Changyang Qingyun laughed at the sky. Victory was already within his grasp with the ancestral armament in hand. Changyang Zhu Xiao, Changyang Yuan Wuji, and Changyang Yuan Wuji all revealed extremely ugly expressions. Even the saint rulers of the Zhu branch below were the same. Chapter 1323. Since ancient times, our Zhu, Yuan, and Qing branches have been one family. We've lived through countless eras together, but now your Zhu branch has broken away from Changyang Prefecture in an attempt to establish your own clan. At the same time, the descendant of the branch, Changyang Zhu Xiangtian, has colluded with outsiders to deal with the clan, trapping our protector clan in Changyang Prefecture in a miniature world. This is an act of treason. If you were given some more time and allowed to grow a little stronger, you'd probably do even more outrageous things. You might even try to steal our position as a protector clan, Changyang Qingyun said coldly. Changyang Qingyun coldly replied. Not only had he come to the Changyang clan this time to resolve the conflict between the Qing, Yuan, and Zhu branches, but he had also come to vent the resentment he had accumulated. Back when the 5 great elders of the Qing and Yuan branches had been trapped in the miniature world with their clansmen, all of them had accumulated extremely great resentment and anger. During the days when they were trapped, the 5 great elders had basically been thinking about how they would take revenge on the Zhu branch at all times. However, when the new Grand Elder of Mercenary City led over 20 experts from various places to help them break through the seal, he had been hastily invited to Mercenary City due to the matters of the world of Forsaken Saints. As a result, the time to take revenge on the Zhu branch was obviously delayed. Now that the saint rulers of the Qing and Yuan branches had come into conflict with the saint rulers of the Zhu branch, Changyang Qingyun and the other great elders obviously found an opportunity for revenge. They even had a reason to do so this time. Changyang Qingyun, so much for being a great elder of a protector clan. You're actually so shameless. You clearly want to take Xiangtian's saint's fruit and become the holy emperor, yet you just have to make up a bunch of excuses to stir up trouble. The reason why Changyang Prefecture has ended up like this is all because of your greed, Changyang Zhu Yunshao growled. His voice was filled with anger. Changyang Qingyun did not become embarrassed at all. Instead, he righteously said, "Have you all forgotten the rules of the Protector clan? The rules clearly state that all the disciples of the clan must place the interests of the clan above all else. As a member of the clan, Changyang Zhu Xiangtian obviously has to follow the rules. The saint's fruit he obtained is extremely important to the clan, so he obviously has to hand it over." Changyang Zhu Shao and Changyang Zhu Yunshao were extremely furious. They had never thought that Changyang Qingyun would become like this. He was like a completely different person compared to before. Changyang Qingyun was not like this in the past. It was just that the temptation of becoming the holy emperor was just far too great. When Jianshan brought the saint's fruit back to the clan, Changyang Qingyun should have had the greatest right to enjoy it as the strongest person in Changyang Prefecture. However, to everyone's surprise, Jianshan refused to hand it over no matter what. In the end, Changyang Qingyun missed out on becoming the holy emperor and was even sealed up for a period of time. This loss and gain greatly affected him, so his personality obviously changed drastically. After all, the saint's fruit was the only hope of becoming a holy emperor in this age where it was extremely difficult to become a holy emperor. There was not a single holy emperor who could resist such a great temptation. Even Changyang Zhu Yunshao and Changyang Zhu Shao had once been tempted by it, but they did not lose their minds like Changyang Qingyun. The 3 magical beasts helped Xiangtian obtain the saint's fruit, and the 3 of them even stopped the holy emperor's scheme in the end. If it were not for the 3 magical beasts, the saint's fruit would have been taken away by the holy emperor of the beast god continent even if it ended up in your hands. As a result, the saint's fruit doesn't completely belong to Xiangtian, so the clan obviously doesn't have the right to forcefully take it away. Changyang Zhu Shao emotionlessly replied. Changyang Zhu Shao, there's no point in saying anything more. If you hadn't stopped me back then, I would have become the holy emperor already. Today, I will make you pay for what you did back then, Changyang Qingyun roared. Changyang Qingyun bellowed at the sky. Madness filled his eyes as he controlled the Emperor armament with the other 4 great elders. Immediately, a terrifying pulse of energy that could shake the surroundings radiated from the Emperor armament. It tore through space in a single moment, causing the space around the Emperor armament to become riddled with cracks before collapsing. The Emperor armament was just too powerful. At the same time, the space outside was not as tough as the miniature world of the Protector clan, nor was it stabilized by the 18 divine halls. As a result, the space around the Emperor armament shattered as soon as it displayed its might. From today onwards, there will no longer be a Changyang prefecture, Changyang Qingyun roared. Changyang Qingyun laughed aloud. He controlled the Emperor armament and swung it at the estate below in an attempt to destroy it. The Changyang prefecture was only an extremely ordinary estate. Although it was protected by a barrier cast down by Changyang Zhu Shao, the barrier was like a decoration before the Emperor armament. It was unable to resist at all. Everyone in the estate paled. Even Changyang Ba, Bai Yuntian, and the saint rulers of the Zhu branch became nervous. The terrifying presence of the Emperor armament had already locked onto everyone below, crushing them like a mountain. It was impossible for them to escape. A few of the weaker guards and servants had already fainted on the ground. Blood oozed from the corner of their mouths. Their organs had been damaged by the pressure of the Emperor armament. Changyang Ba, Bai Yuntian, and a few other important figures were not too affected since they were protected by the saint rulers of the Zhu branch. In the sky, the expressions of Changyang Zhu Shao, Changyang Zhu Yunshao, and Changyang Zhu Yeyun drastically changed. If the Emperor armament swung down, not only would the entire Changyang prefecture cease to exist, even half of the city with a population of several million would be destroyed. Saint rulers were restricted by celestial decay. They could not commit any heinous crimes. If they killed over 1 million people in one go, celestial decay would immediately descend. No matter how powerful they would be reduced to a pile of bones. Changyang Zhu Shao, Bai Yuntian, and Bai Yuntian immediately began to use a secret technique to interfere with the Emperor armament. The Emperor armament required a corresponding secret technique to control, and it could only be taught to Holy Emperor. The 3 of them obviously knew this. The Emperor armament was greatly disturbed. Its terrifying energy began to pulse violently as the light from the sword pulsed erratically, sometimes strong and sometimes weak. Even the swinging motion came to a halt. Changyang Zhu Shao, don't even think about trying to take control of the Emperor armament. Changyang Qingyun furiously bellowed as he began to use his full strength. Even the 4 other holy emperor from the Qing and Yuan branches did the same. The Emperor armament violently trembled in the air as surges of energy fluctuated in an extremely unstable manner. The 3 holy emperors from the Zhu branch clashed with the 5 holy emperors from the Qing and Yuan branches. They used secret techniques to fight for control of the Emperor armament. Spurt. Changyang Zhu Shao, Bai Yuntian, and Bai Yuntian all vomited blood as their faces paled in a single moment. Soon afterward, the 5 holy emperors from the Qing and Yuan branches all vomited blood as well. Their faces were sheet white, without a single trace of blood.